My future mother-in-law was critically ill and needed a family member's consent for surgery, but my fiancé insisted on calling his one that got away. I didn't try to stop him in our past life. He took her word for it, convinced his mother didn't need the operation and could recover with medication at home. It was my insistence on signing the surgical consent form that saved his mother's life, but the white moonlight felt her fiancé was questioning her medical skills and threatened to throw herself into the river to make amends to his white moonlight and to prove his medical skills to her. My fiancé sent me, already in labor, to the operating table for the white moonlight's C-section. During the surgery, I suffered massive bleeding. Instead of helping me stop the hemorrhage, my white moonlight let me bleed to death afterwards. She told her fiancé that the baby was in a breech position and that she had done everything she could. My fiancé didn't even glance at me or our deceased child. Before turning to confess his love to his white moonlight after I died, I saw them living happily together. When I opened my eyes again, I was back on the day my mother-in-law was critically ill and needed surgery. This time, let him believe whatever his white moonlight says. Let him. The future mother-in-law suddenly collapsed, convulsing uncontrollably, unable to speak a coherent sentence, with her mouth corner twisted. As soon as she arrived at the emergency room, she began foaming at the mouth, turning pale, and struggling to breathe. After examining the patient with medical equipment, the doctor said seriously, acute cerebral infarction, surgery must be performed immediately, otherwise, the patient could suffer paralysis and lose independence, or worse, face life-threatening consequences. Then, the surgical consent form was presented to me. I instinctively took the pen and was about to sign my name, but just then, someone snatched the pen from behind me, the tip nearly grazing my face. I turned around angrily, only to find my fiancé, Shui Huichuan, standing right behind me. Why didn't you consult me before signing for my mom's surgery? When it came to that, I was fuming. I called you so many times on the way. What were you even doing? Shui Huichuan averted his gaze. I was working overtime at the office. Just because you're pregnant doesn't mean you can make unreasonable demands, okay? Looking at the familiar face before me, I suddenly realized I had been reborn. It wasn't until much later in my past life that I realized he wasn't actually busy with work. He was clearly comforting Shen Qianqian, who had failed her neurology board exam 3 times in my previous life. He arrived at this exact moment too. He firmly refused the surgery, insisting that Shen Qianqian said the condition could be managed with medication. Shui Huichuan, this is no time for your pride, a life is at stake. I shoved him aside, snatched the pen, and quickly scrawled my name on the consent form. He suddenly snapped, shouting at me in a rage, what gives you the right to sign for me? We're only engaged, not married. Qianqian made it perfectly clear, my mother just needs her medication. I followed the direction of his gaze and understood everything. Shen Qianqian has arrived. He was anxiously explaining to his white moonlight that he wasn't the one who signed it. Who gave you the right to sign for Auntie? Can you really take responsibility for this? Even if you look down on me, you can't play with Auntie's life like this. I gave Shen Qianqian a once-over. If I'm not going to listen to a doctor, should I listen to someone like you who doesn't even have a medical license? Shui Huichuan quickly stepped forward to comfort her. Qianqian, your medical skills are the best. Don't listen to Lin Yin. She's pregnant and has a bad temper. Chapter 2. Humph. Then why did you bring Auntie to this hospital? Isn't this from Lin Yin? Shen Qianqian shot me a glare. I think she's just trying to guilt-trip you into marrying her quickly, using this favor and the baby in her belly as leverage. I can't be bothered to argue with her. If you have time to meddle in other people's family matters, maybe you should worry about whether you passed your recent exam. Shen Qianqian suddenly looked utterly devastated and ran off. Shui Huichuan was about to chase after her, but with his mother-in-law still in the emergency room, he ultimately stayed behind. Yet, Shen Qianqian suddenly called him, threatening to kill herself. She believed Shui Huichuan had no faith in her medical skills, left a suicide note and was about to jump into the river. She was successfully rescued, but her right wrist was cut by sharp stones at the riverbed, damaging the nerves, and she can no longer perform delicate surgeries. But Shui Huichuan, unusually, didn't blame me at all. It wasn't until I was rushed into the operating room during labor that I saw Shen Qianqian's familiar face. That's when I realized he wanted to use me to prove Shen Qianqian's surgical skills, to show she could still operate even with an old hand injury. Shen Qianqian never even administered anesthesia. I was in excruciating pain on the operating table, writhing in agony. I prayed my parents would hurry and get here to have Shen Qianqian replaced, but she seemed to read my thoughts. Leaning close, she whispered, your parents jumped to their deaths yesterday. Serves them right for looking down on me and getting in my way. How long do you think you can last, bleeding out like this without any medicine? Once you're dead, Huichuan will marry me right away." She was absolutely right. She ran out in tears and told Shui Huichuan that I had died from a difficult birth due to a malpositioned fetus. Shui Huichuan held her in his arms, comforting her softly, and even chose that moment to confess his feelings to her. After I died, I watched helplessly as the two of them lived a blissful life, funded by my family's fortune. A familiar voice jolted me out of my reverie. "Huichuan, what are you two doing?" Shen Qianqian had arrived at some point without my noticing. She looked at the consent form and exclaimed, "Huichuan, don't you trust my medical skills?" Shui Huichuan shot me a sidelong glance. "It's because she tried to sign without my consent." She tugged at Shui Huichuan's arm. "Huichuan, why don't we take Auntie back home for treatment?" I couldn't help but laugh at Shen Qianqian, who had no idea how skilled she was at medicine. "If you're taking her, then get going. Once she's out of our hospital, whether she lives or dies is none of our business." "How dare you wish death on my mother? If it weren't for her insisting I let you and that child into this family, I never would have agreed to marry you." I gave Shui Huichuan a faint smile. "Weren't you the one who said we're only engaged, not married? How can she be considered my mother-in-law?" "What do you mean?" "What I mean is, Shui Huichuan, let's break up." Shui Huichuan's expression froze, and he stood there, momentarily stunned. Shui Huichuan, his face twisted with rage. "You're carrying our Shui family's child. How can you break up with me?" Chapter 3. I ignored him, walked straight into the elevator, and went up to the surveillance room on the top floor. On the monitor, Shui Huichuan said with a hint of dejection, "Let's take Mom home for treatment first." Even while carrying his mother on his back, Shui Huichuan managed to free a hand to hold Shen Qianqian's tightly. Everyone around them was looking at the two of them with incomprehensible stares. How did Shui Huichuan become the person he is today? I couldn't help but think back to when we first fell in love. He always gave in to me on everything, and we just clicked. Everyone says I'll never find someone as perfect for me again after losing him, but after Shen Qianqian moved to this city, everything changed. The affection that was once mine alone began to be shared with someone else. He started working late constantly, often not coming home at night. A woman's intuition is always sharp. I always find clues in Shen Qianqian's WeChat moments photos. Just as I was about to let go and let them be, I found out I was pregnant. I ran my hand over my swollen belly, a wave of sorrow washing over me. In our previous life, my entire family died tragically because of them. This time, I'm determined to stay far away from that scumbag and that wretched woman, and protect myself and my family. The three of them got into a taxi and left, but the aunt began struggling desperately, trying to get out of the car. Was she hoping to return to the hospital to receive treatment? Yet, she was forcibly shoved back into the car by Shui Huichuan. I'd like to see how Shen Qianqian, who can't even pass a neurology exam, manages this. Can Auntie's acute cerebral infarction be cured? That evening, I went home to discuss with my parents the idea of having an abortion and calling off the wedding. They were surprisingly fully supportive of me. Shui Huichuan's phone call came through. After a moment's hesitation, I answered the call. "Hello, Lin Yin. Mom's treatment is going well. She's already able to eat normally again. We've already broken up. What's the point of telling me this now? Stop making a scene. Mom's feeling a bit better now. Do you want to come see her? I'm sure she'd love to see her grandson." I just felt like Shui Huichuan couldn't understand plain English, so I hung up the phone with a sharp click. It wasn't even a few hours later when he called again. "Hey, Lin Yin, Mom's condition has taken a sudden turn for the worse. I'm taking her to the hospital. You need to get a doctor ready immediately. Something's gone wrong with Qianqian's medicine. I don't know how." Before I could even argue, he continued, "Even if we're fighting, Mom's always been good to you, hasn't she? You have to think about her too." Out of a doctor's compassion, and because I get along well with my mother-in-law, I finally relented with a sigh. "Just bring her here quickly. I'll be waiting at the hospital." I waited at the hospital entrance for 2 hours, only to see Shui Huichuan and Shen Qianqian step out of the car. He scratched his head sheepishly. "Mom's feeling much better now. She fell asleep in the car. We had to pull over on the way so Qianqian could give her an acupuncture treatment. That's what held us up," Shen Qianqian said proudly. "I told you ages ago. No need to come to the hospital. You just wouldn't believe me. You let me wait here for so long without even a word." I didn't bother with the two of them and headed home in the car. Shui Huichuan, however, mistakenly thought I was jealous and upset. Chapter 4. He caught up and spoke up for Shen Qianqian. "Don't take what Qianqian said to heart. She's young and highly skilled in medicine. A bit of pride is only natural. Would you like her to help you regulate your health as well?" I turned and gave him a cold look. "No need for any regulating. I'm planning to have the child aborted." Shui Huichuan was about to catch up and speak to me again, but Shen Qianqian grabbed him by the arm. "Oh, Huichuan, don't mind her. she's just using this to threaten you into giving in. I walked away quickly. If I had to look at that couple for one more second, I wouldn't be able to sleep tonight. I heard news about Xue Huichuan again. It was when the nanny was accompanying me, waiting for my number to be called at the hospital. Suddenly, he held out his phone to show me. Miss, is that man your ex-boyfriend? How come he's volunteering for drug trials? It really is Xue Huichuan. This is Shin Qianqian's account, where she shares videos of herself testing medicines on Xue Huichuan. Every post was tagged with claims that she could develop a miracle cure for acute cerebral infarction. The latest post even stated the drug was already perfected and that she would livestream administering it to her mother-in-law to cure her. The livestream began right at that moment, yet Shin Qianqian avoided getting to the point. Instead, she started airing her grievances on the live stream. The only reason I wanted to help Auntie get better was because I genuinely, wholeheartedly love Huichuan. Why didn't we end up together? She lowered her eyes, looking utterly wronged. It's all because she had a fiancé, and because she got pregnant, so Huichuan had no choice but to marry her. The live stream chat started flooding with messages accusing me of moral blackmail. She feigned helplessness again. Besides, her father runs a hospital and also works at our university. If I don't go along with her, how am I supposed to survive in medical school? I stay up all night studying every day. I've mastered every single concept, yet I keep failing my exams. I didn't bully her. How did I end up in such a mess? She was clearly the one twisting the truth. Yet the live stream instantly erupted in a torrent of abuse, with people turning on me and my dad. More outraged netizens began digging up our personal information. She's insisting again that Auntie go to her hospital for treatment, trying to force Huichuan back to her side with this. I really have no choice. I can only do my best to cure Auntie, so Huichuan won't be forced into doing something against his true feelings. At that moment, Xue Huichuan suddenly appeared in the frame, holding a freshly boiled kettle of hot water. Shin Qianqian smiled at the camera and said, "Now, let me show you the effects of this miracle drug." She slipped the strange, pitch-black pill from her hand into her mother-in-law's mouth with a sip of water. The elderly woman, who had been slightly trembling, suddenly felt better and even opened her mouth as if to speak. The barrage instantly flooded with praises like "miracle doctor" and "a goddess descending to earth." But before a few seconds had passed, the old woman let out a gush of blood with a violent retch. They were rushed to my hospital, but it was still too late. Just as I was about to call Xue Huichuan to inform him of the result, he had already arrived at the surgery entrance. I handed him the death report. The aunt ingested an overdose of toxic, incompatible substances. She was brought in too late. Resuscitation efforts failed. She has passed away. He slumped to the floor, his hands trembling as he took the report. After scrutinizing it to confirm what I'd said was true, he covered his mouth and began to sob, his voice choked with emotion. Suddenly, he clutched my legs tightly. I just found out, the medicine Qianqian gave me caused azoospermia. You and our child are all I have left. She used me as a test subject, and now I'm sterile. My mother is gone too. It's just you and our son now. I pried his hands from my legs. I've had the abortion. Please accept my condolences. Hearing those words, he visibly froze, and tears immediately welled up in his eyes. How could that be? Wasn't this child meant to keep us together forever? How could you even think of getting rid of him? Chapter 5. I looked at Xue Huichuan, who was kneeling on the floor with no regard for his dignity. I used to want to be with you forever, but I don't have that thought anymore. Why? I don't believe it. How could you possibly not love me anymore? Just then, the phone suddenly began to vibrate. I had inadvertently followed Shin Qianqian's account. The app was notifying me that Shin Qianqian had gone live. I saw that she had somehow already made her way to the riverbank. The water had already risen to her waist, tears streaming down her face, her eyes filled with sorrow. She said, "I truly don't know what went wrong with my medicine. My skills are inadequate. I can only offer my life as atonement. I have failed Huichuan. Friends in the livestream, when I'm gone, please take good care of him for me." I had the speaker on, so Xue Huichuan, kneeling beside me, naturally heard the commotion. He paused for a moment, then looked up at me. "I have to save her. She may have made mistakes, but we grew up together after all." With a nonchalant shrug, I said, "Do whatever you want. It's your call." Xue Huichuan got to his feet and hurried out. I suddenly called out to him at that moment, "Xue Huichuan, this is exactly why I must break up with you. Even after she made such a huge mistake, her priority in your heart remains this high, and in your past life, you even hurt me for her sake." Xue Huichuan paused for only a moment before hurrying out. In the live stream, Shin Qianqian began to slowly move toward the deep water area. This speed is just a tad faster than a snail's pace. She also deliberately or inadvertently directed public opinion toward our family's hospital. My prescription is definitely not the issue, unless someone used connections to swap out my herbs. The enthusiastic viewers in the live stream room immediately started imagining things. Was it that woman you mentioned before, the one who's always giving you a hard time? How can someone be so cruel? Is their motto, if I can't have it, no one can. Shen Qian just shook her head through her tears. I don't know. I can't slander anyone. I just feel my medical skills are so poor. I don't deserve to live in this world anymore. The riverbank where she was located was very close to the hospital. It wasn't long before Xue Huichuan rushed to the scene. As Xue Huichuan pulled me back onto the shore, my phone accidentally fell into the water. Cutting the live stream short, I sighed. Feeling it was such a shame for Auntie, I then decided to put all of this behind me and start my new life. Before this, all my energy had been devoted to protecting the pregnancy and preparing for the wedding. I don't have a life of my own at all. I'm taking advantage of this postpartum recovery period at home to learn some new things. I've already booked a flight for a few months from now to travel abroad. I want to see all the magnificent landscapes the world has to offer. With such a wonderful life, why tie yourself down to just one man? Xue Huichuan came to see me once more. He brought me a lot of tonics and came to explain why he had to leave in such a hurry last time. I only rushed over because I was genuinely worried something had happened to her. Can you please not be angry? Let's not fight anymore and make up. Okay, Xue Huichuan, we've already broken up. Who you want to save, who you want to love, none of it has anything to do with me. If you're here as a friend to care about me, I'm happy to accept that, but if you're here to ask for a reconciliation, please leave. Xue Huichuan opened his mouth, about to say something more, but then his phone suddenly rang. After hanging up the phone, his expression grew increasingly grave. Hanging up the phone, he asked me with a dark expression, is the pharmacy downstairs in Huifeng community owned by your family? Yeah, what's up? Xue Huichuan stared at me for a long time, then finally said, you're not at fault, but tell your family to stop making things difficult for Qian from now on. His words were utterly baffling, but thankfully, that was the last of it. After this departure, he hasn't shown up in my life for ages to bother me. Once again, I learned about their news through a live stream notification. I clicked into the live stream and was instantly stunned. I can't believe Xue Huichuan still has any faith in Shen Qianqian's medical skills. Chapter 6. He was lying on the very same table his mother had lain on before she passed away. Meanwhile, Shen Qianqian held a large handful of silver acupuncture needles. I immediately checked her account and caught up on the whole backstory. The previous drug trial caused Xue Huichuan to develop azoospermia. This time, Shen Qianqian will perform acupuncture on him to cure his azoospermia. The acupuncture session hadn't started yet, so I thought I'd do my good deed for the day and gave Xue Huichuan a call. For an illness like yours, you should really go to a major hospital. What if acupuncture ends up causing more problems? But the attitude from the other side was utterly appalling. I know about my mother's passing. The blame for that lies entirely with your family's hospital and your father, not with you. If your pharmacy hadn't switched the medicine meant for Qianqian, my mother wouldn't have had that accident. I still have faith in Qianqian's medical skills, so there's no need for you to try and persuade me otherwise. When I'm cured, I'll come back to you. We'll have another child together. With that, he hung up. I was completely dumbfounded by what I heard. Funny thing is, when he left last time, he asked if that pharmacy was owned by our family. Are you suspecting that our family switched the herbs needed by Shen Qianqian? And he's even showing mercy, blaming our family but not me. I immediately called the pharmacy and asked them to pull up all the surveillance footage of Shen Qianqian purchasing medication and send it to me. How can I possibly take such a huge injustice for no reason without my intervention? The acupuncture procedure continued. Shen Qianqian covered Xue Huichuan's vital area with a cloth. He began to apply needles to his body repeatedly. I have to say, it actually looks pretty convincing. After the acupuncture treatment, Xue Huichuan's complexion visibly brightened with a healthy flush. Some viewers in the live stream raised questions, and Shen Qianqian responded, we'll go to the hospital tomorrow to get a certificate proving I've definitely cured his azoospermia. For some reason, I couldn't shake the feeling that Shen Qianqian's expression was strangely off. I just got a message from the pharmacy. She bought this set of silver needles today as well. How could the preparations be so rushed? My gut tells me this isn't over yet. I called the hospital front desk and told them to let me know if Xue Huichuan is brought in tonight. Just as expected, in the dead of night, Xue Huichuan found himself back in the hospital. The reason for this visit, he had lost all sensation in a certain part of his lower anatomy. The doctor Informed him that if his condition didn't improve, a partial amputation might be necessary. Unable to accept the possibility of becoming a eunuch, Xue Huichuan fainted on the spot. The next day, I rushed to the hospital ward to see him. The doorway of the ward was surrounded by many hospitalized patients. "Hey, did you hear about this guy? He tried treating his azoospermia at home and ended up castrating himself. That quack who treated him even had the nerve to badmouth our hospital. This place we're staying at is both affordable and reliable. If anyone dares to speak ill of it, I'll be the first to object." The nurse quickly arrived and dispersed the crowd at the door. When I reached the door of the hospital room, I realized that Xue Huichuan had woken up at some point without my noticing. I hid myself under the covers, pretending not to hear the whispers and gossip outside the door. I sat by the hospital bed, peeled an apple, and handed it to him. I was just about to tell him to take it easy. Shen Qianqian burst through the door and snatched the apple right out of my hand. Chapter 7. Why are you being so fake? Are you still here just to gloat over Huichuan's misfortune? Xue Huichuan and I both looked at her in confusion. She pulled the silver needle from her chest. "Not only did your shop have someone swap out the medicine I prescribed for my aunt, but you also tampered with my silver needles. And I bought all of these from your store." Xue Huichuan looked at me and said, "What your family has done is truly beyond the pale. Inin, if you're willing to leave them behind, I'd be willing to take you back." Shen Qianqian looked utterly incredulous. "Huichuan, how can you not believe it was her? They must be in cahoots." Xue Huichuan looked at me with a firm expression. "I believe Lining isn't that kind of person. Look at the state you're in now. She's bound to look down on you, Huichuan. Only I will stand by you, no matter what. I'll always be here for you." I suddenly cut in. "Is it my turn to speak now? You two are making some pretty wild accusations without a shred of proof, aren't you? You claim our pharmacy swapped your herbs and acupuncture needles. Do you have any evidence? I bought it from your shop. What more proof do I need? Your family has always had it in for us, hasn't it? One should still rely on evidence in matters like this." I took out all the surveillance footage I had prepared in advance, showing her purchasing the medicinal herbs and silver needles. In the footage, the shop assistant clearly explained the medication instructions to her when she was buying the herbs. Several of those medicines are not meant to be taken together. As for the silver needles, all of ours are fully traceable. Furthermore, I found out that you borrowed an ancient text from the school library. The book specifically details how acupuncture could be used to disable someone's sexual ability without having to remove vital organs. Even in ancient guards, Shen Qianqian realized she had been exposed, and her expression grew increasingly strained. Xue Huichuan was so anxious he nearly sat up in bed. "Is that really what she said? I've been so good to you. How could you treat me like this?" Shen Qianqian began breathing heavily, suddenly stood up, and hurled the apple in her hand at Xue Huichuan. "I've been with you since I first got into college. You've never even thought about giving me a proper status. You complain about Lin Yin every single day, yet you have no intention of breaking up with her. I think you're in love with her without even realizing it. You've already broken up, and you're still thinking about how to win her back every day. You actually expect me to cure you, so you can have another child with her, Qianqian, but we're just not right for each other. You can't control your own desires, can you? I'll take care of that for you. You're already a broken man. Doesn't that make us a perfect match? You did that on purpose. How could you be so cruel? Yeah, your mother's death, your condition, everything was my design. Your third leg will never stand again in this life." With those words, Shen Qianqian ran out of the hospital room. Xue Huichuan was so anxious he tried to get up from the bed to chase after them, but his entire lower body was paralyzed. He stumbled and fell to the floor in embarrassment. Helplessly watching Shen Qianqian escape, Shen Qianqian fled. He also took all the savings and cash from Xue Huichuan's home. I compiled and posted all the things she did online and reported it to the police, demanding that they clear my name. The police quickly began searching for Shen Qianqian's whereabouts. After a few days of rest, Xue Huichuan was also discharged from the hospital without any complications. The only thing that's really annoying is that he started pursuing me again. Chapter 8. Let's go back to the way we did things when we first met. They went a long way just to buy me my favorite treats. He handed it to me with an eager, attentive expression. "Xue Huichuan, I haven't liked this flavor since I graduated. I've told you so many times. Oh, I must have forgotten. Let me get you a fresh one. You used to bike halfway across the city just to get it for me. What's the point now that you can just drive there?" Xue Huichuan misunderstood me. "Then I'll just keep going by bike. I mean, we've both changed. There's no going back. Don't come to my door tomorrow." I slammed the door shut. Yet the next day, he showed up at my door again. In his hands were a bouquet of flowers and a black swan necklace. The one I'd loved for so long but he'd never bought for me. A gift for you. Do you like it? You have to take it. If I take it, will you leave? Shui Huichuan nodded. I took the gift and casually handed it to the nanny beside me. Auntie, take it with you. Shui Huichuan stood frozen in place, a look of confusion in his eyes. But you used to love it when I gave you gifts. Even the smallest present would make you happy for days. You clearly treasured the gift I gave you. How could you give it to someone else? Didn't you give the birthday cake I painstakingly made for you to Chan to eat? Shui Huichuan, this behavior of yours is truly pathetic. If you don't love me anymore, stop clinging on, okay? From the moment you met Chan again, there was no going back for the two of us yet. The Shui Huichuan before her seemed incapable of understanding human speech. He merely muttered to himself, so it's all Chan's fault, is it? It's all because she came between us, is that it? How ridiculous. He's the one who insisted on playing both sides, yet in the end, he tries to pin all the blame on someone else. Think whatever you want, just don't bother me anymore. Seeing that I was about to leave Shui Huichuan, he suddenly shouted, I'll deal with her for you. I swear I'll get revenge. In that moment, Shui Huichuan began to merge with his past life self. Did he make the same kind of promise to Chan in his past life? If keeping this promise comes at a cost, should I be the one to compensate Chan? While Chan's obsessive selfishness was certainly wrong, Shui Huichuan was not blameless in the whole affair either. I walked away without a single glance back. No matter what he does, I will never look back. What's the use of such belated affection? It must be said, Shui Huichuan's execution is truly formidable. After returning, he immediately compiled a fresh batch of damaging information about Chan online. Another hefty sum was spent on online promotion. The entire internet is now aware of the crimes Chan has committed over the years. Many patients who have received treatment at our hospital have also stepped forward to vouch for our institution. All of her live streaming accounts have been officially banned. The luxury items she took from Shui Huichuan were also meticulously listed and posted online by him. Even second-hand shops wouldn't take it, and the one Chan had previously sold it to even returned it to her. She hadn't taken much cash with her to begin with, and with her online account banned, she lost her source of income. He won't be able to hide for long. He'll show up soon. I've recently fallen in love with a new traditional Chinese medicine-inspired milk tea shop next to my hospital. I need to grab a drink every day, but today, while drinking bubble tea, I couldn't help but feel like the shop staff were constantly sneaking glances at me. That gaze looked so familiar, but with his hat on, I couldn't make out who it was. Just to be safe, I pulled the silver hairpin from my bun and dipped it into the milk tea. The hairpin immediately turned black. I took my milk tea and went to confront the staff, but the barista making the milk tea suddenly vaulted over the counter and bolted out the door. I bumped into a passerby on the street, knocking her hat off, and I saw her face. Chapter 9. It was then that I recognized her. Chan, is she going to drag me down with her as she faces her own death? She paused at the window for a moment, glaring at me with a venomous stare. He vanished into the crowd in an instant. She was heading straight for our family's hospital. I immediately alerted all departments to be on guard and not give her a chance to cause any trouble, but there was still a lapse in security. She had managed to hide in the stairwell. She held me at knife point and forced me up to the rooftop. In his other hand, he held a megaphone, shouting down below, my entire life has been ruined by this Linine. If it weren't for her, I'd definitely have the right partner and be happily married by now. I took a deep breath to calm myself down. Chan, calm down. If you drag me down with you, we'll lose everything. Your current crime isn't a big deal as long as Shui Huichuan doesn't pursue it. If you don't die, how can he ever love me again? How can I ever become the lady of the Shui household? I've loved him for so many years. Why does he have to be with you? At this moment, Shui Huichuan, having learned the news, rushed to the scene. His eyes were filled with rage, yet he dared not provoke Chan. Please, calm down, let Linine go, and I'll come to your side. Alright, this is all my fault. Release her, and I'll be with you right away. You think I'd believe that? Do I look like an idiot? I'll sign the agreement right now. I'll marry only you for the rest of my life. Just let her go. Chan seemed to waver. Are you serious? Absolutely true. I glanced sideways at the ground. The safety net below had been set up long ago. Chan began to slowly ease the knife away from my throat. Shui Huichuan yanked me into the safe zone. He then moved closer to Chan himself. Chan, her face alight with excitement, said, have Linine prepare the paper and pen right now. You're signing the agreement with me this instant. Shui Huichuan suddenly let out a cold laugh. A contract? Marry you? Not in this lifetime. If it weren't for you, how could Linine have left me? With those words, he shoved Shin Chanshan off the rooftop. I immediately crouched at the edge of the rooftop and looked down. Although Shin Chanshan landed on the safety airbag, Xue Huichuan had pushed her at the wrong angle. Only the upper half of her body landed on the cushion. She was immediately rushed into the operating room for emergency treatment. A firefighter, who had been hiding in the shadows ready to assist, stepped forward and confronted Xue Huichuan. How could you push her? She was calm and could have been rescued safely. Xue Huichuan simply retorted, how can you be so sure she's emotionally stable? What if she hurts me or Yin? Shin Chanshan's resuscitation ended quickly, though his life was spared. His legs suffered the impact, paralyzed from the waist down. She'll probably spend the rest of her life in a wheelchair. When Xue Huichuan heard the news, he just laughed and said, she had it coming. He then turned to me and asked, does her comeuppance satisfy you? Can we make up now? He really hasn't changed a bit. In my previous life, after I died, he immediately turned to Shin Chanshan's arms. In this life, as soon as Shin Chanshan was paralyzed, he stood at the door, gloating and boasting to me about it. He's always been such a selfish, rotten person, rotten to the core. Shin Chanshan really is a ruthless piece of work. The moment she was transferred to a regular ward, she borrowed a phone and got in touch with the media. She knew the wrongs she had done could never be whitewashed. She simply kept harping on about how Xue Huichuan had been brutally pushed off the rooftop. She made the promise in front of the mainstream media, if he's willing to marry me and never divorce, I'll let bygones be bygones. His deliberate push that sent me tumbling down the stairs. Otherwise, I'll sue him. I'll see it through to the end. Amid a swarm of media, she glanced my way and toward Xue Huichuan with a smug look. Seemed to be flaunting her victory. Chapter 10. I have absolutely no intention of getting back together with Xue Huichuan, but I'm still curious, will he choose me? Without hesitation, this time, but in the end, I still overestimated him. He glanced at me with a guilty look, then whispered, I'm sorry, Lin, I don't want to go to jail. After living 2 lives, he never once chose me with certainty. Thankfully, given Shin Chanshan's current situation, she can't cause any more trouble in this life. My family has suffered no harm. To avoid a prison sentence himself, Xue Huichuan chose not to pursue the matter of Shin Chanshan causing his mother's death. With the victim's family dropping the case, the police had no further grounds for action. The only condition was that Shin Chanshan had to film a public apology and clarification video addressed to me and posted online. In the end, under immense public pressure, Xue Huichuan reluctantly married Shin Chanshan. The wedding was held with great splendor, just as Shin Chanshan had requested of everyone present. Only Shin Chanshan was truly delighted. The groom kept a stern expression throughout. Shin Chanshan uses this excuse every day. If you don't behave, I'll send you to prison. She blackmailed Xue Huichuan into doing anything for her, including but not limited to pushing her to go shopping, standing in long lines to buy things for her, and monitoring him in his office. No woman is allowed to approach him. She began to grow increasingly anxious and possessive, starting to demand that Xue Huichuan take her wherever he went. Of course, Xue Huichuan didn't tell me any of this. I read it in his suicide note. Living in such an environment for so long, he finally couldn't hold back his emotions. On a stormy night, he bludgeoned Shin Chanshan to death with a baseball bat as she lay utterly defenseless. She calmly wrote the suicide note and then took sleeping pills to end her life. The next day, the news made headlines. That's when I first learned of their deaths. I stared at the news for a long time, stunned. So, just like that, the 2 people who tormented me in my past life are dead. That night, I had a dream. An adorable-looking child was crouched by my left ankle, fiddling with something incessantly. Suddenly, he said goodbye to me. I'm frail and sickly. If I were to be born on my own, I would surely be incomplete. Thank you for not giving birth to me. Next time, I'd still want to be your child. I'm off to be reborn and start a new life. You should start a new life too, Mom. When I woke up again, I was surprised to find a new mole on my left ankle. Legend has it that a mole is a mark left by a loved one, so they can find you in the next life. My parents are in good health, my baby has been successfully conceived, and all my enemies are dead. What more could I possibly want from life? I'm packing my bags, ready to embark on a journey around the world and start my new life. The end. That's all for the first story. Don't go away. The next one is even more exciting. Ever since my daughter could talk, she's seen me as her rival. Every time my husband and I are intimate, she barges in to separate us. You hussy, Mom, stop trying to seduce my dad. When my husband served me a dish, she ran off crying and climbed onto the rooftop. Unless Dad stays away from Mom, I'll jump right now. Even when I put on makeup, she couldn't resist making a snide remark. No matter how much an old woman tries to dress up, she'll never outdo me. After my husband had an affair, I fought desperately for custody. terrified that my daughter might be mistreated by a stepmother. Yet, my daughter hysterically threw sulfuric acid at me. "You'll never separate me from Dad. He belongs to me and me alone." Taking pity on me, the black and white impermanence offered me a chance to be reborn. This time, I decisively gave up custody. From now on, I just want to stay as far away from my daughter as possible. Husband Yu Qiming was somewhat surprised. "Su Rue, what made you change your mind all of a sudden? Weren't you determined to take your daughter with you no matter what?" Before I could answer, Yu Jieji burst in and started punching and kicking me. "I'm not going with you. We're both women. Do you really think I don't know what's going on in that little head of yours? You're just jealous that Daddy favors me." She threw herself into Yu Qiming's arms, glaring at me with smug defiance. "No one can come between me and Daddy. I'm going to be his little princess forever." Although Yu Jieji had seen me as a thorn in her side since we were children anyway, she's still my own flesh and blood. So in my previous life, I learned that Yu Qiming wanted to remarry immediately. I'd been locked in a long battle with him. No matter how much of the property I had to give up, I was determined to fight for custody of Yu Jieji. Remembering the searing pain of my body being burned by sulfuric acid, I immediately picked up the divorce papers. "I respect our daughter's wishes. She can live with you." Yu Jieji was taken aback by this. I was just about to sign. Yu Jieji rudely snatched the agreement away again. "You're a discarded wife trying to grab your father's money. Don't you have any shame? Daddy, you said you'd give me all the money to buy pretty dresses. You can't give so much to that old woman." She clung to Yu Qiming's leg, pouting, and said, "I, a failure like me, didn't deserve a single cent." She was unaware of Yu Qiming's affair and didn't understand why I deserved millions in compensation, but Yu Qiming offered no explanation, instead doubling down on crafting his persona. "What can I say? Your old man's just too soft-hearted. I couldn't bring myself to be too harsh on your mother. I know you feel for your dad, how hard it is to make a living. You're really my little comforter." Watching their little duet, I couldn't help but sneer. Yu Qiming is the biggest enabler behind Yu Jieji becoming like this. He never corrects Yu Jieji's behavior, indulging her without any boundaries, which has caused her psyche to become increasingly twisted. Yu Qiming finally managed to coax Yu Jieji into leaving. Then, turning around, he quietly gave me a warning. "I'm planning to remarry, but please don't tell Jieji yet. I'm afraid she won't be able to handle it right away. When the time is right, I'll introduce Jieji to her new mother." Yu Jieji, completely in the dark at that moment, they were basking in the joy of victory. She couldn't wait to rip down my wedding photo, then stomped on my face and jumped up and down. "Perfect. I finally beat my rival." My heart had grown completely cold toward Yu Jieji, and all I could feel for her now was pity and contempt. Will she still be able to smile when she realizes she has a new rival in love? Noticed my gaze. Yu Jieji laughed at me loudly. "You're just jealous, aren't you? From now on, Daddy is all mine, too." I ignored her and walked into the room to quietly pack my things since I was only taking the money and not the house. And Yu Qiming was worried I'd change my mind during the cooling off period. We agreed that I would continue living here during that time, which also gave me a transition period to find a new place. When Yu Jieji saw I was only moving my things into the small room, she immediately lost her temper. "Why aren't you taking your suitcase? Do you plan on overstaying your welcome, you filthy, shameless slut? I knew you wouldn't give up that easily," she shouted, throwing my things into the trash. Then went to cry to Yu Qiming. "Dad, why does she still have to live here? I hate Mom. Hurry up and make her go away." Yu Qiming tried to explain the divorce cooling off period to her, but she couldn't hear a single word. "I came out of my mom's belly. I know her better than anyone. Mom's just trying to seduce you during the divorce cooling off period, tricking you into getting back together with her. Mom doesn't actually want a divorce at all. She's just playing hard to get. Don't you fall for it, too." My surprise, after the divorce, Yu Jieji's hostility towards me only grew stronger. I couldn't take it anymore and slapped her. "Shut up, you don't get to call me Mom. You and I will be nothing to each other soon. Don't expect me to put up with you any longer." I used to treat my daughter as the apple of my eye, even when disciplining her. I couldn't bear to speak harshly. Yu Jieji had never seen me this furious before. Terrified, she burst into loud sobs and buried herself, aggrieved, into Yu Qiming's arms. "Dad, look, she's finally showing her true colors. She's always been this cruel to me behind closed doors. She's jealous of the bond between my father and me, and she constantly abuses me. This isn't the first time Yu Jieji has slandered me. Ever since she was 4, she would rack her brains to concoct all sorts of lies to tattle on others." To Yu Qiming, in her words, "I'm just a violent, hot-tempered woman who beats people at the slightest provocation." Meanwhile, Yu Qiming always stood unconditionally by Yu Jiejia's side. How could such a little kid possibly lie? I couldn't bring myself to believe that my own daughter would compete with me for male attention. By the time I believed it, it was already too late. Seeing Yu Jiejia's pitiful, delicate act, I let out a scornful laugh. Yu Jiejia, you're only 10 and you're already such a master at playing the innocent victim. It's a shame you're not debuting as an actress. Save your energy, fighting me is pointless, you need to take this up with your dads. Before I could finish, Yu Qiming hurriedly covered my mouth and pulled me away. Su Rui, what are you doing? Didn't I tell you to keep this secret first? If you go around blabbing about my remarriage, Jiejia will fall apart. Seeing Yu Qiming's insincere concern for his daughter made me sick to my stomach. When you cheated, did it ever occur to you that she'd fall apart? I don't think you care about your daughter. You only care about your damn fake image. Whatever, I'm not even bothered getting involved in your father-daughter drama. Anyway, Yu Jiejia will find out the truth sooner or later. I'm just waiting to see how it plays out, but I never expected this to completely cut off any chance of me getting back together with Yu Qiming. Yu Jiejia actually used that brief moment to run out and knock on every neighbor's door. My mom has been misbehaving outside, so my dad has decided to divorce her, but she's just camped out at our house and refuses to leave. Clinging to my dad, uncle, auntie, can you please help me get her out of here? 3. Yu Jiejia's tearful and impassioned accusations drew a crowd of neighbors. They gathered at the front door, pointing their fingers and whispering about me. Who would have thought Su Rui, with her prim and proper appearance, would be out there chasing after men? Even her own daughter can't stand her. That says everything about her character in everyone's eyes. I am a complete and utter failure. My husband left me because of my personal failings. And even my daughter despises me. My life is a complete and utter wreck. Afraid I was being pushed too far, Yu Qiming, for once, stepped in to mediate. It's all a misunderstanding. Don't listen to a child's nonsense. Our family affairs are none of your concern. Yu Jiejia was furious. Dad, why are you taking Su Rui's side? I'm trying to help you. I wouldn't let Yu Jiejia call me mom. She had the nerve to get all uppity and call me by my full name. Su Rui, see, you're divorcing me whether you like it or not. I won't give you a chance to change your mind. Finally, for his own sake, Yu Qiming snapped. This is grown-up business. None of your concern. Don't make a scene. Go to your room. Now. Yu Jiejia's eyes instantly welled up with tears. She didn't resent Yu Qiming for yelling at her. Instead, she blamed me for it. It's all Su Rui's fault. I wish I didn't have such a terrible mom. She's already about to divorce my dad, and now she's trying to drive a wedge between us. Sobbing. This is the first time Dad has ever yelled at me. Yu Jiejia's genuine resentment made me shake my head helplessly. Yu Qiming, this is the fine daughter you've spoiled. Wait until your mistress walks through the door. Your good days are just beginning. I didn't spare Yu Qiming any face. I posted the clarification directly in the homeowners group. I told everyone that the reason for our divorce was Yu Qiming's infidelity. Anyone who spreads lewd rumors about me based on Yu Jiejia's lies can expect a cease and desist letter from my lawyer. Panicked, Yu Qiming snatched my phone and deleted the message. Seeing me with my bag, ready to check into a hotel, he grabbed my arm anxiously. Su Rui, you can't leave. What if you refuse to go through with the divorce with me? Where will I find you then? I gave him a cold look and shook him off. Don't worry, I want that divorce certificate even more than you do, because no one wants to get rid of Yu Jiejia sooner than I do. The moment I left, Yu Jiejia sent me a threatening text message. Don't even think about sneaking back to seduce Dad. I'll be watching you. She burned every single photo I had left at home and even made a point of filming it to show me. I blocked Yu Jiejia without a second thought. In my past life, I exhausted myself for a long time, battling Yu Qiming over custody. This time, I let go with grace, and it's been a huge weight off my shoulders. I started working out and taking care of my appearance again, even throwing a party to celebrate breaking free from that toxic relationship. When we finally get through the cooling off period and collect our divorce certificate, I look radiant and feel better than I did before the divorce. Yu Jiejia eyed me warily. Su Rui, you really went to great lengths to win my dad back. Actually went for cosmetic surgery. You can give up now. Dad won't come back. From now on, his world will only have me, his precious daughter. She linked her arm with Yu Qiming's, looking like a general who had just won a battle. But I just kissed the divorce papers and walked away. I quickly bought a new house and couldn't wait to start my new life. I never expected that. Just a few days after moving in the dead of night, I was suddenly visited by the police. Ms. Su Rui, how could you leave your daughter on the street? What daughter? Just as I was completely baffled, Yu Jiejia pushed past the police, rushed into my home, and looked around frantically. Has Dad come to see you? He didn't come home tonight. You must be hiding him, for muttering to herself, Yu Jiejia began rummaging through the drawers and cabinets. The house, which had just been tidied up, was thrown into complete disarray in an instant. A surge of inexplicable anger welled up inside her. I grabbed Yu Jiejia by her braid and shoved her toward the police. You think everyone's as obsessed with Yu Qiming as you are? He's not here with me. Get out. Yu Jiejia shuddered, and tears immediately welled up in her eyes. Officers, you see, this is how my mom usually treats me. The officer's face hardened as he reprimanded me. She's your own daughter. How could you do this? I tried to stay calm and explain to the officer. Her father and I are divorced. He has full custody. There's no way she just got lost walking alone in the middle of the night. She's deliberately filing a false police report just to harass me. I suggest you contact the child's father directly. I'll give you his contact information. Yu Jiejia didn't believe what I said and still thought Yu Qiming was with me. Who else but you could make Dad stay out all night? I almost told her the truth, but then again, even if I said it, Yu Jiejia wouldn't believe me. She might get so angry and humiliated that she ends up taking it out on me. I swallowed the words on the tip of my tongue and simply gave the police Yu Jiejia's address, asking them to take her home. The next day, the police informed me. Yu Jiejia said she couldn't reach her dad and was scared being home alone. She tried to call me, but found her number was blocked. Afraid I wouldn't see her, she resorted to this method to find me. The police completely believed the 10-year-old girl's lie and even advised me, your daughter just misses you terribly. There's no grudge that lasts between mother and daughter. You should treat her well from now on. I was at a loss for words. After all, even if I spoke up, no one would believe my daughter has been in a constant rivalry with her own mother, left with no other choice. I had to message Yu Qiming and tell him to bring his new wife home immediately, but the peace didn't last long. Yu Jiejia's teacher called me again, sounding frantic. Yu Jiejia has been hiding in the bathroom every day, refusing to come out. She says she'll only go home if you come to pick her up. Ms. Su Rue, even if custody is not granted to you, you still have a responsibility to care for her. Besides, Jiejia only ended up like this because of the adult's divorce. You can't just stand by and do nothing. The teacher tried to guilt-trip me, and even threatened to post it online for netizens to judge if I didn't take responsibility. I was afraid it would affect my work, so I had no choice but to go pick up Yu Jiejia. Despite my reluctance this time, Yu Jiejia was surprisingly well behaved. Not only did she sweetly call me mom, but she also hugged me for the first time ever. Mommy, I missed you so much. I saw the teacher's pleased expression. I could only manage an awkward smile. As I nervously escorted her home, she had just set down her school bag. Yu Jiejia's expression instantly turned dark. Before I could react, Yu Jiejia violently locked the door behind her. Dad hasn't come home for several nights now, and it's all because of you, you homewrecker. You're already divorced. Why are you still throwing yourself at him and trying to seduce Dad? Why do you have to compete with me for him? That vicious, twisted expression was exactly the same as in my past life. My heart lurched in panic, and I instinctively tried to run. Yu Jiejia stood blocking the doorway, a sinister grin spreading across her face as she pulled out a clear glass bottle. You think you're so special just because you have a pretty face. Once your face is ruined and you're hideous, no one will ever try to steal Dad from me again. The nightmarish memory froze me in place, my body rigid and unable to move. Yu Jiejia gripped the sulfuric acid bottle tightly, advancing toward me step by step. The next second, Yu Qiming's voice came from outside the door. My precious Jiejia, come and meet your new mother. Yu Jiejia's hand gave a sudden jerk. 5. I looked at her calmly. Yu Jiejia, congratulations, you're about to have a new rival in love. A few drops of sulfuric acid splattered from her trembling movements. A wisp of white smoke instantly billowed from her sleeve, accompanied by a sickening sizzle and crackle. Yet Yu Jiejia seemed utterly impervious to the pain. Her eyes widened in disbelief as she stood frozen in place. What new mom? What new love rival? Su Rue, don't you dare talk nonsense. That's not Dad's voice. I must have misheard. I quickly retreated to the corner, a playful smirk curling at the corner of my mouth. Yu Jiejia, you poor thing. Do you really think your father just suddenly decided to divorce me? Are you brave enough to open the door and welcome your dad yourself now? Yu Jiejia's eyes darted about, and she genuinely seemed to hesitate. Just then, Yu Qiming opened the door. He walked in, beaming with delight, leading a young and alluring woman by the hand. Jiejia, didn't I tell you to wait at home? Why didn't you say anything when you heard my voice? You see, I'm home too. Yu Qiming frowned in displeasure, as if he'd seen a ghost. Su Rue, what are you doing here? I shrugged helplessly. I didn't want to come either. Why don't you ask your precious daughter? Yu Qiming finally noticed Yu Jiejia standing to the side. Veins bulged on her forehead, her eyes were bloodshot, and her whole body trembled like a leaf. Dad, who is this woman? Why are you holding her hand? Hurry up and say she's just your friend. Say it. She's not my new mom. After Surue left, I didn't have a mother anymore. From then on, it was just me and dad in this family. No matter how much Yujeja tries to deceive herself, that other woman still clung affectionately to Yu Qiming's arm and spoke in a sugary voice. Honey, is this your daughter? She's so beautiful, and she looks just like you. That single sound was all it took. Yujeja completely broke down. Yujeja clutched the sulfuric acid bottle tightly and screamed hysterically, who gave you the right to call me dad or hubby? You don't deserve it. Shut up. Who are you? Really? Did Surue send you here to seduce my father? Dad, I don't want a new mom. Make her go away now. As the sulfuric acid swirled violently inside the bottle, Yujeja's emotions were also on the verge of breaking down, as if anticipating Yujeja's intense reaction. Yu Qiming even turned to brag to his mistress. See, I told you I'm a good dad. My daughter and I have a great relationship. Don't worry. As long as you two get along, Jeja will warm up to you soon, just like always. He patted Yujeja's head and patiently tried to smooth things over. Didn't you always hate Surue? Dad understands how you feel, so he's been wanting to get you a new mom for a long time. You see how much Daddy loves you. Everything he does is for you. You can understand Daddy, right? I was absolutely blown away that bastard Yu Qiming actually had the nerve to use such phrasing to sugarcoat his affair. While Yujeja paused for a second, she quickly accepted Yu Qiming's explanation. Daddy, I knew you'd always love me the most, care for me the most. She sniffed back her tears and glared at the other woman with hatred. But I don't like this new mom. Dad, can you make her go away? Yu Qiming's face hardened. You're Daddy's good girl. You should be on my side. I really like your new mommy, so you need to like her too, just like I do. Do you understand? Yujeja's tears began to flow like a fountain. Seeing this, the other woman stepped forward with feigned concern to comfort her. There, Jeja, don't cry. How about mommy takes you out for a steak? Don't you worry. From now on, mommy will treat you even better than Surue ever did. Yujeja nodded, her voice choked with sobs. The mistress, seeing this, glanced at me with a haughty look, as if to say, Surue, look, I didn't just take your husband, I've also successfully taken your daughter. Yujeja's reaction surprised me too. Why is she so tolerant of the mistress? Why has she suddenly become so obedient? Could it be that she truly harbors malice only towards me, her own birth mother? Just as I was lost in confusion, Yujeja suddenly raised the sulfuric acid high and hurled it violently at the other woman. 6. The mistress didn't have time to dodge. She could only watch helplessly as the sulfuric acid splashed all over her chest. She let out a scream and collapsed to the ground. Ouch, what did you just throw on me? Noticed a wisp of white smoke rising from in front of the mistress. Without a second thought, Yu Qiming slapped Yujeja across the face. Yujeja, are you out of your mind? How could you be so rude to the new mom? The mistress's clothes had been completely burned away, and the remaining sulfuric acid seeped into her skin, causing her to scream like a slaughtered pig. Yujeja smashed the bottle and burst into tears, covering her face. Dad, you've never hit me before. How could you hit me for that homewrecker? For a moment, Yujeja's wails, the mistress's shrieks, and Yu Qiming's frantic voice calling for an ambulance were all tangled together. Hiding in the corner and watching the drama unfold, I could only feel a sense of pity. What a shame Yujeja wasn't tall enough. The sulfuric acid didn't splash onto the mistress's face and disfigure her on the spot. Looking back at my past life, because I had no guard up against Yujeja, sulfuric acid was poured over my head. When I died in agony, the flesh on my head had been completely burned away, leaving only a bare skull. If my death hadn't been so horrifying, so gruesome that even the Yinyang officials were stunned, I wouldn't have had the chance to be reborn. After hanging up the phone, Yu Qiming realized that the substance was sulfuric acid. The mistress quickly stripped off her clothes, pointing to the burn marks and hiding in Yu Qiming's arms to play the victim. That pitiful look, leagues more convincing than anything I could ever muster, instantly made Yu Qiming furious with Yujeja. Yujeja, you're only 10 years old. Where did you get all this stuff? I think I've been spoiling you too much, and now I've turned you into this little monster. Did you figure out I was getting remarried all along? You've been deliberately trying to hurt your new mother, haven't you? Yujeja glared at them with a venomous, predatory hatred. Yu Qiming felt sorry for his mistress and turned his anger on me again. Surue, I was wondering why you showed up at my house out of the blue, so it was all part of your scheme. I never should have trusted you. I can't believe you could be so malicious. You must have told Jeja about this beforehand. That's what put these wicked ideas in her head. If anything happens to my wife, you will pay for this. I couldn't help but burst out laughing, finding Yu Qiming utterly ridiculous. Yu Qiming, Do you think I want to be here? If it weren't for Yu Jieja getting the teacher and the police involved to force me into picking her up, I wouldn't have wanted to see her at all. Oh, by the way, that bottle of sulfuric acid was actually meant for me. She thought I was the one who seduced you, which is why you were staying out all night. Who knew you'd have to bring your mistress back at this exact moment? All I can say to you two is, deserved it. At this point, a profound sense of relief washed over me, the kind you feel after narrowly escaping disaster. Right now, I actually have to thank you Qiming for cheating, getting divorced, and so quickly elevating his mistress to wife. Otherwise, I'd probably have been in trouble again today. Hearing this, the mistress burst into tears. Watching the mistress who got her just desserts writhing on the ground, I certainly find it immensely satisfying as well. Yu Qiming got humiliated by me, so he had no choice but to turn around and blame Yu Jieja. For the very first time in my life, I actually witnessed Yu Qiming lay hands on Yu Jieja with real force. Get on your knees and apologize to your new mother right now. Then write me a 10,000-word letter of self-criticism. If you dare argue with me again, I'll have you sent to a psychiatric hospital for electroshock therapy. Yu Jieja's heart was utterly shattered. She pushed Yu Qiming away with all her strength, then lunged in front of me, teeth gritted, kicking and punching me. Su Rui, this is all your fault. It's because you're so unappealing that you can't even keep a man. If it weren't for you being disliked by Dad, he wouldn't have found a new mom for me. It's all your fault. 7. Watching Yu Jieja crying and wailing at my legs, I finally understand. This girl hates me with a passion. It's as if she's seen me as her enemy from the moment she was born. Even my breathing feels like a mistake to her. Thankfully, I'm no longer hurt by Yu Jieja's actions. I shoved her away forcefully, looking at her with disgust. Don't have your meltdown here. I'm under no obligation to put up with you. Yu Jieja lay on the floor, weeping bitterly and crying out for her father over and over, but Yu Qiming had no time for her. Hearing the ambulance arrive, he rushed downstairs in a panic, clutching his mistress. The police arrived shortly afterward, staring at the sulfuric acid stains. They held Yu Jieja down with grave seriousness. Young man, where did you get this dangerous item? You'll need to come with us for questioning. As the person involved, I went back to the police station with them. I told the police everything that had happened over the past few days, exactly as it occurred. I even made public, for the first time, the fact that Yu Jieja had seen me as a romantic rival for years. The police didn't believe it at first. They thought Yu Jieja threw acid at the other woman to get revenge for me, her mother. But when Yu Jieja screamed that both the other woman and I deserved to die, the police began to have their doubts. I didn't argue pointlessly. I simply pulled up some surveillance footage I had saved on my phone. These are some clips from our daily life before the divorce. Take your time reviewing them. I hope they'll be useful for your investigation. The video showed Yu Jieja calling me a slut, accusing me of shamelessly seducing Yu Qiming. The police officers fell silent. I clearly told the police that I don't have custody of Yu Jieja, and I'm not responsible for what she did. Plus, since she tried to harm me with sulfuric acid today, no matter what happens afterward, I won't get involved anymore. When leaving the police station, Yu Jieja was still throwing a tantrum. Have you called my dad? Tell him to come pick me up, quick. Don't let him stay with that mistress. Please, do something to separate them. Okay. Seeing that I was about to leave, she even called out to me in a rush. Su Rui, how can you just stand by and watch Dad be taken away from us? Can't you think of a way to get Dad back? If you can break him and that homewrecker apart, I'll still call you Mom. She was still acting with that same reckless entitlement, expecting me to forgive and indulge her without any limits, but I just gave her a cold, dismissive glance. Yu Jieja, have you ever thought that I no longer want to acknowledge you as my daughter? Go on and live well with your new mother. I hope she can be as understanding and patient with you as I was. Yu Jieja's eyes were filled with confusion. Su Rui, what are you pretending for? Weren't you desperate to take me away just now? I know you can't bear to part with me. Hurry up and take me away so I can go see Dad. I didn't say a word, leaving her with nothing but a cold, retreating back. That night, Yu Qiming sent me a message to confront me. He still believed it was me who had leaked the information in advance, enabling Yu Jieja to maliciously purchase the sulfuric acid. I'd had enough of that father-daughter duo, so I posted his past infidelity evidence online and blocked him. Yu Qiming could only shut up now. Meanwhile, Yu Jieja was so consumed by the pain of Yu Qiming's remarriage that she didn't bother me again after that. The mistress got off lightly. Only a small patch of skin on her chest was burned, but her face remained unscathed. I heard she let bygones be bygones and magnanimously forgave Yu Jieja, soon moving in to live with the father and daughter. I didn't inquire about what happened after that, focusing instead on my own promotion and pay raise. Then, one day, a neighbor I used to be on good terms with suddenly reached out to me. Su Rui, Your ex-husband's life has been a complete mess ever since he remarried. Let me show you. Their whole family has become the laughingstock of the entire neighborhood now. 8 I see. Even though Yu Qiming quickly deleted the message I sent to the residents group chat that day, plenty of nosy neighbors had already gotten wind of the truth about his affair. Yu Qiming had already become the talk of the town. On top of that, the incident where Yu Jejia threw sulfuric acid caused quite a stir in the neighborhood. Ever since then, they'd been under a microscope, with everyone just waiting for the drama to unfold. The day the other woman moved in, she made such a spectacle. Honestly, she might as well have hired a town crier. She showed up with a truckload of stuff. Your daughter threw a full-blown tantrum right there on the doorstep, blocking the way and refusing to let her in. In the end, Yu Qiming had to whip her a couple of times with his belt. She stormed off in a rage, and only then could that homewrecker finally move in. I never saw that coming. Once a man who always turned a blind eye and even exaggerated things, Yu Qiming actually started physically attacking Yu Jejia repeatedly over a mistress. Looks like this couple is truly in love. Then I can only wish them a happily ever after. Watch this video. This is 1 week after the mistress moved in. Your daughter called the police, saying her stepmother was abusing her. She got several officers to come over. When we saw her, her face was covered in handprints, and she'd even had 2 teeth knocked out. It's no wonder people say stepmothers are cruel. She'd only been there a few days and already started abusing the child. I took a closer look at the video. Yu Jejia was indeed covered in injuries, but on closer inspection, the stepmother didn't look much better either. That once lustrous black hair had been hacked into a messy, uneven bob, looking like it had been chewed off by a dog. Clearly the handiwork of Yu Jejia. The mistress tearfully complained to the police, saying Yu Jejia had cut up all her clothes and even put nails in her shoes, leaving her limping for a week. Yu Jejia clung to the officer's leg, sobbing and claiming her stepmother had been abusing her. Neighbors already disliked the mistress, and unaware of Yu Jejia's tendency to lie, they gathered around her, pointing and whispering, driving her to tears. In the end, Yu Qiming rushed back, apologized to the police, and made a token remark about the mistress, finally putting an end to the farce. From that day on, the house was filled every day with the clatter of breaking things and the sound of shouting. See, men who cheat never end well. Just look at Yu Qiming. I can tell he genuinely regrets divorcing you. In the video, Yu Qiming stood at the doorway, smoking with a troubled expression. Through the open doorway, Yu Jejia was locked in a struggle with the other woman. Yu Jejia shouted, "I won't let you get away with this. Every woman who tries to seduce my father will die. Daddy is mine and mine alone. No one else gets to have him." The mistress's leg was bleeding profusely, but she still grabbed Yu Jejia's hair and slapped her bottom hard. "No wonder your mother looks at you like you're a ghost, you little brat. Don't think just your mother dislikes you. Your father doesn't like you either. You still think your father loves you so much. Let me tell you, I'm already pregnant with his son. Once he's born, you can just wait to be sent back to the countryside." Yu Jejia shrieked at the top of her lungs. "You're lying. You're a liar. Don't you dare slander my dad. I'm his only daughter. He would never leave us. Not in this lifetime." At the end of the video, Yu Qiming stamped out the cigarette butt and slammed the door shut. From behind the closed door, I heard Yu Qiming's furious roar. "I should have just left you with Su Rui back then. I can't stand the sight of you now. Once your brother is born, you're getting the hell back to your grandmother's place." The neighbors shook their head in disapproval. Not only did he cheat, but he's also abandoning his own daughter. Your daughter is in for a hard time. The neighbor genuinely felt sorry for Yu Jejia, but I just closed the chat window with a blank expression, silently adding in my mind, all of this was Yu Jejia's own doing. But judging from the video, the other woman isn't having an easy time of it either. I don't believe Yu Jejia would let herself be easily sent away by Yu Qiming. She's ruthless enough to buy sulfuric acid, so she won't back down easily. Sure enough, I was at work that day. The police called again. "Ms. Su, your daughter's gotten into serious trouble. Better come take a look right away." 9. I was about to say no, but then the officer continued. "Her only guardian is now critically ill as well, and her grandparents can't get here in time. We're out of options, so we had to contact you. Is Yu Qiming on the brink of death?" That piqued my interest. I explained the situation to my boss, took half a day off, and rushed to the hospital. The police officer saw me, pulled me aside, and said, "Your ex-husband is still in critical care. It's unclear if he'll regain consciousness. Your ex-husband's second wife has been pronounced dead. As for your daughter, given that she's only 10 years old, the situation is extremely delicate." It turns out Yu Jejia found out the other woman was pregnant with a son, and after being provoked by Yu Qiming, she completely lost her mind. She secretly collected some rat poison, first pretending to apologize and reconcile with Yu Qiming, then taking advantage of their lowered guard to slip the poison into the mistress's drink. She had only intended to poison the mistress and the child in her womb unexpectedly. Yu Qiming also accidentally drank this glass of water. The poisoning occurred while they were asleep. By the time Yu Jie saw Yu Qiming foaming at the mouth and called 120, the toxins had already been fully absorbed. Gastric lavage is no longer effective. Surgery is the only option to see if we can alleviate the organ failure. The mistress, weakened by her pregnancy, succumbed to the poisoning en route to the hospital upon learning that the mistress had indeed been poisoned by her. Yu Jie burst into maniacal laughter. That's what happens when you try to steal my dad, thinking that having a son for my father would let you compete for his favor. How naive. Her terrifying, vicious expression. It was completely unlike a 10-year-old child. When she learned that Yu Qiming was also critically ill, that's when she panicked. She knelt at the operating room door, sobbing, "Dad, I didn't mean to. I just wanted to get that bad woman who's trying to seduce you out of the way. Daddy, you'll wake up, right? You promised to take care of Jie forever." I was so stunned I couldn't process a word, though I had expected the mistress wouldn't end up well, but I never expected Yu Jie to be so ruthless. She actually made Yu Qiming suffer the consequences of his actions. The police were in a difficult position. Yu Jie is a minor, but the things she did have led to extremely serious consequences. We'll be transferring her to a juvenile detention center next. As for other matters, would you be willing to? I cut the police officer off directly. "I'm sorry, but I won't be stepping in to do anything for her. Since custody lies with my ex-husband, let her grandparents handle it. I'm about to be posted overseas, so I'm afraid I can't help with these matters." And as you saw from the surveillance footage earlier, if Yu Qiming hadn't had the affair and gotten divorced, the person lying in the funeral home right now would most likely be me. The police officer sighed and expressed his understanding. Yu Jie turned around and saw me at that moment. Her eyes instantly flooded with boundless hatred. "Su Rue, this is all your fault. If you hadn't failed to keep Dad, he wouldn't have been seduced by another woman, and I wouldn't have made him accidentally drink the rat poison. I hate you. I've hated you since I was a child. Why did you have to compete with me for Dad's affection? And why did you have to harm him?" Yu Jie redirected all her hatred towards me. I remained unmoved. That girl was no longer any concern of mine. She could no longer hurt me. Yu Jie, instead of hating me, you should think about what you'll do if your beloved father dies. Don't forget, you're the one who killed him. You'd better hate yourself for the rest of your life. My words sent Yu Jie into a complete frenzy. Sobbing uncontrollably, she began slamming her head against the floor, repeating over and over, "I'm sorry, Dad." I left the hospital and immediately applied for the earliest available slot to go abroad. The day I successfully got promoted and boarded the plane, word came from the hospital that Yu Qiming had ultimately succumbed to organ failure. His parents loathe Yu Jie to the core and insist she must receive the maximum punishment. Even if Yu Jie is released from prison in the future, they won't take care of her. They'll just leave her to fend for herself. I don't know if Yu Jie will live in endless regret or in constant resentment. None of it has anything to do with me anymore, because it's ahead of me and even brighter and more expansive future awaits me. And Story 2. I've been with Xinzhou for 10 years. I tattooed his favorite gardenia flower on my collarbone. He finally relented and agreed to marry me, but he kept an 18-year-old girl outside. Before the wedding, he indulged the girl's breakup countdown. He accompanied her to go bungee jumping, skiing, and to Iceland to see the aurora, but he didn't know that I didn't have much time left to live. I booked a plane ticket abroad, donated all of his family wealth, and removed the tattoo while he was counting down every day to the wedding. I was planning to leave him on the day I was diagnosed with gastric cancer. The girl that Xinzhou was keeping outside took the initiative to find me. "I know I'm the mistress." The girl's opening words were sincerely terrifying. She bit her lip. "Sister, I know you're about to get married, but Xinzhou doesn't love you anymore. I've been with him for a year. We've slept together 78 times, 53 times in hotels, 21 times at my place, and 4 times we're in your home, on your bed." She looked at me frankly. "If Xinzhou still loved you, I wouldn't exist at all." I found it ridiculous. I lit a cigarette and looked at her through the smoke. "What else? Go on." So she took out her phone and played a video for me. The angle of the video was covert, as if it was secretly taken. The girl was nestled in Xinzhou's arms crying. "Even if you have to marry her out of responsibility, can you not abandon me?" Xinzhou pushed her away and threw out a bank card. "Find a reliable man. It's not a good thing to be with me. It's too dangerous." "No." She hugged his waist and acted coquettishly. "I'm not afraid of danger. Can you not leave me, Xinzhou? I won't be a burden to you." "Definitely not." Xinzhou was stunned for a moment. His gaze swept across her face. and he was stunned for a moment, then he kissed her. I put out the cigarette. The girl is just 18 years old this year, with a face full of collagen, and she's truly innocent. Moreover, the moment I saw her, I knew she looks a lot like me. She looks a lot like Tangjing at the age of 18. You're right about one thing. If Shinzhou still loved me, you wouldn't exist at all. I stood up. Actually, my abdomen hurt a bit. I leaned on the table for support but didn't show it. But I advise you not to get too deep into this. Shinzhou has never loved you, nor has he ever loved me. He only loves Tangjing in his memories. That innocent and beautiful Tangjing who had already died on the way to helping him rise to power. In a few years, he will meet a new substitute. Then you will be even worse off than me. Actually, I lied to her. I'm almost dying. How could she be worse off than me? At most, she will be dumped by Shinzhou when he gets tired of her. I started being with Shinzhou when I was 18. I grew up without my parents, and my grandmother who raised me passed away when I was 15. That's when Shinzhou appeared. He courted me fiercely. He spent money recklessly, as if he wanted to present me with the best things in the world. Shinzhou was handsome and gave me a great sense of security. I fell for him quickly. On my 19th birthday, he coaxed me to experience the forbidden fruit for the first time. That night, from pain to indulgence, I became completely one with him. The next day, Shinzhou took me to meet his group of brothers. I had never been in such a situation before. I timidly tugged at the corner of Shinzhou's clothes and softly greeted people following him. Their gazes sizing me up were full of mockery. Shinzhou, why did you find such a young girl? She's too docile. She'll easily hold you back. At that time, I didn't know what holding back meant in their words. I couldn't help but retort in a low voice. No, I won't. I won't be a burden to Shinzhou. Definitely not. But later, as I gradually got exposed to Shinzhou's environment, I realized what kind of life he was living. It could be described as living on the edge. In order not to hold Shinzhou back and to be able to stand by his side, I could only force myself to fit into that environment. Over the course of 10 years, I cut my hair short, dyed it, smoked, and got tattoos. I even had countless scars on my body because I was ruthless enough. I accompanied Shinzhou to climb to the position of the second-in-command in the underground world of Jingbei. But Shinzhou didn't seem happy. On countless nights he would hold me in his arms, his fingers brush over the scars on my body, and then he would lean over and kiss them. Tangjing, he would bury his face in my chest and sigh, I still like you as you were back then, and I would always, after a moment of stunned silence, push him away and light a cigarette. I would curse with a laugh. Shinzhou, you're really heartless when you say that. Shinzhou came home in the early morning. I was lying in bed. Actually, I wasn't asleep. I was just staring at the darkness with my eyes open until he pulled me into his arms. Still awake, he lowered his head to kiss me but missed. After being stunned for a while, he held me back with suppressed anger. Who made you angry? I'll go and chop him up. Okay, Shinzhou. It was so dark in the room that I couldn't see his face, but I could smell the fragrance of gardenias on him. Let's break up. Shinzhou's movements froze. Then he let go of me and lay down on the side. What's wrong again? He pressed his forehead impatiently. You're not a little girl anymore. Why are you being so melodramatic? Break up. What are you talking about? He laughed. Tangjing, you're not young anymore. Who would marry a wife who smokes, drinks, has tattoos, and is even more ruthless than a man when handling things? My chest ached. I pressed hard on my chest, but I couldn't suppress the fine pain. Last year, when I had stitches on my arm, I was allergic to the anesthetic. I endured 12 stitches without making a sound, gritting my teeth, but a few sincere words from Shinzhou spoken under the influence of alcohol made my eyes turn red. Shinzhou, I couldn't help but want to ask him if I had a terminal illness. You, Tangjing, he interrupted me, with a hint of impatience between his brows. Stop asking such boring questions. If you really have a terminal illness, I'll accompany you to commit suicide. Okay, he pressed his forehead. I'm going to be busy with the wedding and business recently. I don't have that much time to coax you. Stop acting up. As he was speaking, his phone suddenly rang. Shinzhou hung up irritably, but the other side called again. After several back and forths, Shinzhou picked up the phone and got out of bed. Speak. The girl's crying voice came through the receiver. Not very clear. Shinzhou cursed. What a fucking hassle. Although he said it was a hassle, he still rushed out the door in a hurry. There's a problem with the business. I'm going to deal with it. Go to bed early. Don't wait for me. Our wedding with Shinzhou was set for the 3rd day of the next lunar month. The wedding was going to be simple. I didn't tell Shinzhou about my illness. It was in the late stage, and it was basically incurable. I also didn't tell Shinzhou that I wouldn't marry him at all. I could accept everything about Shinzhou except for betrayal. Just thinking about him holding another woman in his arms, kissing her eyebrows and eyes, and looking for the shadow of my youth in her, I felt a wave of nausea in my Stomach, it was disgusting. I'd been with Shinjo since I was 18, and it's been exactly 10 years now. The doctor said I only had half a year left to live. Calculated in this way, I've wasted almost half of my life on him. For the remaining days I just want to be Tangjing. I booked a plane ticket abroad. I want to take a look at this world that I love but have never seen before while I still have the strength. And the plane ticket was also booked for the 3rd day of the next lunar month. Early in the morning, I crossed out a day on the calendar. There were still 10 days left until I went abroad. The sound of the door opening came from behind me. Shinjo came in wrapped in the wind and snow. He took off his coat and came over to hug me. He still didn't like my short hair. His gaze followed mine to the calendar. Shinjo looked at the heavily circled date of the 3rd day of the next lunar month and smiled. He gently pinched my face. Can't wait to marry me, he counted. There are still 10 days. He buried his face in my neck. I'll find some time in the next couple of days to accompany you to dye your hair back to black and get it extended. You'll be really beautiful at the wedding. No need. I looked at the calendar expressionlessly. There aren't many days left. Short hair is fine too. Shinjo was silent for a long time. He let go of me, picked up the coat draped over the chair, and said, there are a lot of things to deal with for the wedding. The third brother's place was just smashed up yesterday. I'm going to be busy recently, so I won't be coming back for now. Shinjo stared at me when he was speaking. It was as if he was waiting for me to give in, waiting for me to say, okay, accompany me to dye my hair. Let's get my hair extended. But I just looked back at him indifferently. Go ahead. Anyway, there are only 10 days left. Shinjo didn't say anything. He turned and stepped into the night. He never looked back. When there were still 7 days left until the wedding, I went to a tattoo parlor on the outskirts of the city. The shop owner was in her 30s. She was well maintained, but her eyes were full of vicissitudes. She glanced at me. What do you want to get tattooed? I rolled up my sleeve, pointed at the SC on my wrist bone, and then revealed the gardenia flower under my collarbone. Remove them all. The shop owner took a look. It will be very painful to remove them, and there will be scars left. I smiled. I'm not afraid. The thing I'm least afraid of now is pain. As for the scars, I have so many scars all over my body, so these 2 more won't matter. Moreover, maybe in half a year, this body of mine will turn into a handful of ashes. The shop owner chatted with me. Did you break up? I smiled. Well, almost. There are still 7 days. The shop owner clicked her tongue. You're so ritualistic. You even have a breakup countdown. Maybe it was because the shop was too quiet. Or maybe I just got along well with the shop owner. Somehow, the first time I saw her, I felt that we were like people from the same path. I talked to her about the past. At the beginning, when Shinjo was courting me, I gave him a time limit, 300 days. If he could persevere, I would be with him. So, every morning when Shinjo appeared in front of me, he would count the days. 179 days left in the countdown. Tangjing, there are still 96 days. And then you'll be my girlfriend. There's only 1 day left, my future girlfriend, the boy who persevered for 300 days regardless of the weather to win me over. But in the following 10 years he gradually grew tired of me. I got along really well with the shop owner while chatting. When removing the tattoos, I told her the meanings of those 2 tattoos. The tattoo SC on my wrist bone was done when I had been with Shinjo for a year. At that time, I was kidnapped by his enemies and used to threaten him. Shinjo went to the appointment alone to save me. Knowing it was a deadly situation, he still went without hesitation. That time, he was almost hacked to death. When he was discharged from the hospital, I went to a tattoo parlor and tattooed the initials of his name on my wrist bone. At that time, I naively thought I had decided on Shinjo for my whole life. But that night, when I showed him my still red wrist like a precious treasure, he was stunned. There was no tears as I had imagined. He frowned. First, he asked me why I did it, and then he asked me if it hurt. Finally, he hugged me in his arms. Don't do it again in the future. I don't like it. I don't like you hurting yourself. You're fine the way you are. You don't need to change. I really like the clean and flawless Tangjing. I was young at that time and just thought he was care about me, but I never thought that. In fact, Shinjo had already spoken his true feelings, and the gardenia flower on my chest was tattooed when Shinjo swore that he would definitely marry me. When I was 28, Shinjo loved gardenias the most and loved their pure whiteness, so I tattooed it on my chest, waiting for Shinjo to marry me. Now, Shinjo has finally set the wedding date in the year when I'm 28. He's planning the wedding that will happen in 7 days, but I'm planning how to leave him. Although this body of mine is already in a bad state, I still don't want to have any marks related to him on me when I leave. I pointed to the area under the other collarbone and told the shop owner, tattoo a Chinese trumpet creeper flower here. Shinjo loves gardenias, but I prefer Chinese trumpet creeper flowers. He wants me to be pure and flawless, but in the remaining days of my life, I want to be a Chinese trumpet creeper flower that stands proudly on the high wall by myself. It was already evening when I came out of the tattoo parlor. I got along really well with the shop owner. We exchanged contact information and added each other on WeChat. When I was on my way home, I passed by a stall selling cotton candy. I couldn't help but stop. The last time I ate cotton candy seemed to be when I was a child. At that time, my grandmother hadn't passed away yet. She would take out all the change in her pocket to buy me cotton candy when I was so hungry that I couldn't walk. She would always watch me finish eating and then scold me with a smile. "You gluttonous girl." My grandmother always liked to watch me smile. Her old face would have even deeper wrinkles when she smiled. The cold wind blew, dispersing the memories. I walked up to the stall and bought a cotton candy in the shape of a rabbit. It was very sweet, as sweet as in my memories. When I passed the street corner, I heard a little girl ask loudly, "Mom, look, that auntie is so cool. But why is she eating cotton candy? Isn't that something only children eat?" The mother smiled and explained, "Who says cotton candy can only be eaten by children? Everyone can eat it. Eating some sweet food can make people happier." I walked past in my high heels. I heard the little girl's childish voice again. "But the auntie ate such a sweet cotton candy. Why doesn't she seem happy at all? Mom, the auntie looks so lonely." The voices faded away. When I got home, the cotton candy was all gone, leaving only sticky hands. I went in and washed my hands. Then I received a call from Shenzhou. He seemed to be drunk. "Tangjing, speak." He smiled on the other end of the phone. "There are still 7 days, and you're going to marry me. Tomorrow, I'll take you to choose a wedding dress. You can decide. You know my size." Shenzhou was silent for a while. I vaguely heard a girl's coquettish voice on the other end of the phone. "Zhou, let me accompany you to try on the wedding dress. Don't you want to see what I look like in a wedding dress?" After a long time, Shenzhou's voice was hoarse. "Okay." I just didn't know if he was answering me or the girl beside him. When I woke up, I crossed out yesterday's date heavily on the calendar. There were still 6 days left. Today, I'm going to a concert. I changed my clothes, washed up, and did my makeup. I'm not feeling well. Every part of my body hurts, but I can still hold on. In the dressing mirror, the woman is wearing the short skirt that Shenzhou hates the most, revealing her slender limbs. With a calm smile, she can finally make peace with those big and small unsightly scars on her body under the right collarbone. A Chinese trumpet creeper flower is in full bloom. The concert attracted a huge crowd, leaving the streets deserted. I hummed along with the crowd vigorously. "I proudly destroy the ordinariness I hate." Only then do I remember that those were the things I loved the most. Perhaps I was too engrossed. Only after a song ended did I belatedly feel the pain in my body. I held on tightly, leaning against the seat. Suddenly a box of milk was handed to me. My stomach was hurting as if being cut by a knife. I looked up and saw a young and unfamiliar face. The guy was wearing a milky white down jacket. He smiled at me and said, "Do you have a stomachache? The milk is warm. You can have it." I took it. The warmth in my palm dispelled some of the chill. "Thank you." It happened to be the interval between songs. The guy shook his head. "It's okay. My girlfriend really likes helping others. If she knew that I gave the milk to you, she would be very happy." I looked at the empty seat beside him. Did she have something to do and couldn't come to the concert? The guy smiled, but there was an instant sadness in his eyes. "She passed away. I'm here to attend this concert on her behalf." The milk I just drank seemed to stick in my throat. "Sorry, it's okay." The music started again, and everyone looked at the stage eagerly. It was time to select the lucky audience. Rows of audience faces flashed quickly on the big screen. The moment the screen paused, I actually saw my own figure. The cameraman seemed to mistake the guy and me for a couple. Some people around were shouting for us to kiss. The guy quickly took out a photo from his arms and held it up towards the camera. It was a photo of his girl. The microphone was stuffed into my hand, and I couldn't say a word for a moment. In the end, I just looked at the singer I had liked for years on the stage and said softly, "I hope more and more people will see you and like you. I hope you all get better and better." I don't really know what else to say, so I wish everyone here to live a long and healthy life. Some people around were laughing. Maybe they didn't understand why my wish was so ordinary and vague. The camera quickly cut away the moment the melody of the next song started. I saw the guy beside me gently stroking the outline of the girl in the photo with red eyes. He said very softly, "I wish my Sway Sway a long and healthy life too." At that moment, I don't know why, I suddenly felt like crying too. After the concert ended, I managed to hold on and went home. I forgot to close the window in the morning, and the room was extremely cold. I closed the window, removed my makeup, and threw myself onto the bed. I opened a certain short video platform and casually scrolled through it. Then I was recommended a new video of someone I might know. The other person's ID was Song Zhen. In the video, the girl put on a white wedding dress. The face of the man she was arm in arm with was mosaicked, her eyes were beautiful. But there was also a hidden ambition in them. 6 days left in the countdown. My boyfriend is going to marry someone else soon. I'll have you for a few more days. I wish this moment could last forever. In the camera, Shinjo gently put his arm around the girl's waist. His movements were gentle. 5 days left in the countdown. I was in a relatively good spirit today. I got up early and did a big thing. I donated all of Shinjo's family wealth that was stored with me. It was an 8-digit amount. Not a single cent left. Shinjo betrayed me emotionally, but he didn't hold anything back in life. Over the years, almost all the money he earned was transferred to me, and he only kept some for his daily expenses. In the end, I left Shinjo's name after all. It was his money that I was donating. It could be considered as accumulating some good deeds for him. As for my savings, I donated half and kept half for myself to spend. It's an extremely painful thing to know that my life is coming to an end, so I need to make better arrangements to avoid experiencing even more pain. I can't run out of money before I die. However, just as I walked out of the gate of the charity organization, I suddenly felt a blackout in front of my eyes and lost consciousness without any warning. When I woke up again, I was already lying in a hospital bed. The nurse said that they had made many calls to the emergency contact on my phone, but no one answered. The only emergency contact on my phone was Shinjo. Sorry, I'll go downstairs to pay the fees later. The doctor advised me to be hospitalized with a serious expression. If you don't receive treatment, you may not be able to hold on for more than half a year. I smiled and asked him in return, what if I receive treatment? I can't guarantee how your condition will develop, but I can guarantee that as long as there is still a glimmer of hope, we will do our best to treat you. In fact, even if I receive treatment, the hope of recovery is slim. Thank you, doctor. Please help me with the discharge procedures. Just as I walked out of the office, Shinjo called. I was busy just now and didn't hear the phone ring. What's wrong? I looked at the familiar figure at the other end of the corridor. It's okay, I lost my phone, and a kind passerby helped me call the emergency contact. As long as it's okay, the wedding is coming soon. Do you need anything? No. There was another moment of silence. Songjin's unhappy and coquettish voice came from the other side. Hurry up, the ice cream is melting. Shin Zhou said, call me if you need anything. After the call ended, I frowned and looked at the acquaintance not far away. It was the owner of the tattoo parlor. She was bending over to pick up the wig that was knocked off by a passing child. When she looked up, our eyes met. It's you. She obviously recognized me too. She adjusted the crooked wig. I didn't tell you last time. Actually, we're quite similar. We're both people with a short lifespan. That day, I originally planned to close the shop. She smiled. You were my last customer in my career. What's your illness? Leukemia. She smiled indifferently. There's no cure for it. We walked out of the hospital side by side. I took out a cigarette and gave her one. We struggled to light the cigarettes for each other in the cold wind. We looked at each other. Suddenly, we laughed. We were really two unlucky people. We laughed and watched the smoke disperse in the wind. Just like our upcoming endings, I changed my plane ticket. I won't go abroad anymore. I booked a plane ticket to Yunnan together with Qin Yuan. My body can't hold up for the journey to the Atlantic Ocean anymore. Maybe it's fate. I'm just not destined to see the scenery of the ocean in this life. The two of us, who are both running out of time, hit it off. We both want to see Arai Lake. Last night, Songjin posted a new video again. 5 days left in the countdown. Thank you for enduring the fear and accompanying me to go bungee jumping. I love you too. In the video, Shinjo and she were tied with safety ropes, standing on a 100-meter high platform. They embraced each other and jumped off. Because of his fear of heights, his body was slightly stiff, but he still shouted loudly the moment he jumped off. I love you, Shinjin. However, if you listen carefully, the pronunciation of the last two characters wasn't Zhen, it was Jing. 4 days left until the wedding. Qin Yuan asked me if there was anything else I wanted to do. After thinking for a while, I asked her to accompany me to meet someone on the way. Qin Yuan asked me, is she your friend? I shook my head. On the contrary, she's more like my sworn enemy. Qin Yuan raised her eyebrows but didn't ask further. She also accompanied me to a flower shop to order a bouquet of flowers on the way. Lin Jing is the toughest woman in several streets of the East District. She is in charge of 7 or 8 bars by herself. She's ruthless to others and also tough on herself. We've been competing with each other openly and secretly for several years. Neither of us has gained an advantage. As soon as I entered the bar with Qin Yuan, we were stopped. Tang Jing. She was called out and frowned at me. What are you here for again? To scold you, old woman. Her face changed instantly, then she started cursing. I accompanied her in the scolding for half an hour. I felt much better. I casually picked up a glass of wine next to me and took a sip. When I wanted to take a second sip, Qin Yuan stopped me. Just have a taste. I had no choice but to give up. I waved my hand at Lin Jing. Okay, I'm leaving. You should also stop getting into fights and find some stability earlier. Otherwise, you won't have the energy to find a younger guy in the future. I had already walked out of the bar, but I could still hear Lin Jing asking her people in surprise. Damn, what was she here for? Just to scold me for half an hour? Is she crazy? I looked back and just happened to see her kicking the younger guy beside her. I didn't lose the scolding, did I? I didn't perform very well just now. I laughed and walked out. Maybe it's because I'm going to die soon, but I even find my sworn enemy of many years cute. On the way home, my phone suddenly vibrated. Lin Jing sent me a photo of a bouquet of roses. Did you send these? Yeah. The other side was silent for nearly 2 minutes. Then, a stream of messages came in. Lin Jing, what do you mean by sending me flowers? Only little girls like flowers. Do you think I'd care about these? Don't tell me you hid explosives in the flowers. Tangjing, don't think that sending a bouquet of flowers can ease our relationship. This isn't the first time I've received flowers in my life. The flowers are quite nice. Thanks. Let's have a meal together next time. I looked at my phone, smiled, and slowly typed a reply to her. Yeah, there will be a chance. In the evening, Songjin updated her video again. Only 4 days left. I'm so reluctant. We went skiing together. I really like the way you protected me. You were just like my dad. In the video, Songjin fell down in the snow. Someone was skiing down from above, and Shinzhou rushed over to protect her with his body. After a few days, the video has gained some popularity, and many people are following it. Quad A. Why do people who love each other have to separate? The guy's body language clearly shows that he loves her. Why is he marrying someone else? Is he being forced by his family? My God, it seems that the girl has been holding back her tears. No, don't you guys think before shipping a couple? He's about to get married, but he's still playing the breakup countdown with his ex-girlfriend. These scumbags and bitches should be together and not go and harm the bride. The comment section is full of controversy, but most of them are onlookers waiting to see how they will end up in 4 days. I didn't have the patience to watch their lingering. I scrolled past the video. I casually liked the next video of a guy shaking his waist like a male dog. 3 days left. I treated my brothers to a meal. Everyone didn't understand the reason and just thought it was my pre-wedding bachelorette night. Bottle after bottle of wine was emptied, and the atmosphere became more and more lively. We talked about the past few years. Someone mentioned me and Shinzhou. Actually, the second brother loves you very much. Really? The person speaking was so thin that he almost looked emaciated, but his nickname was Xiao Kuei. Once the second brother got drunk and cried for a long time. He said he hated himself for not protecting you well. He said that sometimes he didn't even dare to go home because he was afraid of seeing you and being reminded that he was the one who made you like this. He sighed. But, I thought about it for a long time and decided that I should tell you. Sister Tang, the second brother has a girl outside. Someone beside him kicked him. Damn. How much did you drink? Sister-in-law, Xiao Kuei is drunk. I'll take him back first. You guys keep drinking. Xiao Kuei was taken away. No one believed his words. They just thought he was talking nonsense because he was drunk. There was a hubbub at the table, all talking about how much Shinzhou loved me. Someone even called Shinzhou under the influence of alcohol. What's the matter? Speak. Shinzhou's voice came out through the speaker. It was brief and forceful, but the end of his tone was slightly raised. My eyebrows twitched. I knew very well that it was the tone of Shinzhou after he had just released his sexual desire. Sister Tang is treating us to a meal. We haven't seen you for a long time. Everyone joined in. Second brother, are you busy now? Come and have a drink with us. Shinzhou was silent for 2 seconds. I have something to do here. You guys drink. Take good care of Tangjing. All of you drink less. Find 2 brothers to send Tangjing home safely when it's over. Got it. After the call ended, my brothers all sighed. Sister Tang, look how much the second brother cares about you. We single dogs have to eat dog food every day. I didn't say anything. I took a sip of juice. The juice was at room temperature, but I still felt a dull pain in my abdomen after drinking it. I didn't bring any painkillers. It was really unbearable, so I went outside to get some fresh air. When I went out, I found that it was snowing. Leaning against the street lamp, I somehow opened Songjin's short video. Maybe I had heard so much about Shinzhou just now. At this moment, I suddenly desperately wanted to know what they were doing. 5 minutes ago, Songjin had just updated her video. He and she were side by side, with a gorgeous aurora above their heads. 3 days left in the breakup countdown. To fulfill my wish, he took me to Iceland to see the aurora overnight. The aurora is beautiful, but it's not as beautiful as him. But what can I do? He will soon not belong to me. Forget it, God. Don't care about me, let him be happy first, it doesn't matter to me. In just 5 minutes, the number of likes on the video was nearly 1,000 and was still rising. I'm crying to death. God, don't care about me, let them be happy first. This is the first time I've hated the legal partner so much. No, did the bride save his whole family's life? I'm speechless. What a pair of scumbags. And there are a bunch of people with a love brain in the comment section. I bought resurrection amulets for my family and friends. My front and rear cameras are broken. My urine is matte. There's no mirror at home. Please show the death certificates of your parents before scolding me. I stared blankly at the aurora in the video. It was dazzlingly beautiful. I suddenly remembered that when I was 19 years old, I was nestled in Shinzhou's arms and looked at the TV enviously. Shinzhou, when you earn money in the future, will you take me to see the aurora? Okay. I will definitely take you there in the future. Some snowflakes landed on my eyelashes, blurring my vision. I blinked, and the snowflakes melted, but the girl holding hands with him and looking at the aurora wasn't the 19-year-old Tang Jing. The day before the wedding, early in the morning, I received a call from Shinzhou. Tomorrow is the wedding. His tone was slightly tired. Are you nervous? Not really. There have been a lot of things going on recently. Have you missed me? Not really. There was another moment of silence. Shinzhou said in a low voice, I know you've been angry recently. Tomorrow, I'll give you a surprise at the wedding. Okay. After the call ended, I went out and hailed a taxi straight to the cemetery. My father, my mother, and my grandmother are all buried there. Before long, that will also be my final resting place. Thinking about it this way, if I can be reunited with my relatives in the afterlife after I die, then death doesn't seem to be such a terrifying thing. Even, it makes me look forward to it a bit. If my grandmother saw me, she would definitely raise her hand and chase after me to hit me, scolding me for being disobedient and asking why I came down to accompany her so early. But she wouldn't really have the heart to hit me. She would just pat me symbolically on the shoulder and then hug me and ask, did our Jingbao suffer any grievances over there? Does it hurt a lot when you're sick? Where does it hurt? Grandma will rub it for Jingbao. Jingbao, don't be afraid. Grandma will take you home. I brought the Zweiking tea that my grandmother loved to drink the most. I poured a cup in front of the tombstone. Is the old lady lonely down there? Has your son been filial to you down there? Wait for me a little longer. Our family will be reunited soon. I chattered on in front of the grave for a long time. I stood up, rubbed my sore and numb legs, and was about to leave. After thinking for a while, I turned back. Oh, and don't bless Shinzhou anymore. He's a jerk and didn't take good care of me either. I'm leaving. I brushed the dust off the tombstone. See you later, old lady. I bought a lot of cat food. I went to see a stray cat that I had been feeding for a long time. Meow. I looked at the kitten rubbing against my pants leg in surprise. It was very aloof and usually ignored people. However, I don't know if it sensed the separation, but it took the initiative to get close to me for the first time. It gently rubbed against my hand. It was as if it was saying, can you not leave? Eat up, eat more. I stroked its head. I probably won't see you again in the future. This cat food will last you a long, long time. This kitten had been adopted once. The family treated it very well, but after a few days, it ran out again and chose to be a stray. It didn't want to be caged. Before I left, I lit a cigarette and looked down at it. Goodbye, little cat. I wish you always be free. On the way home, I heard someone call my name. Tang Jing. I recognized the person at a glance. Young Lin. He was a classmate I hadn't seen for many years. When we were at school, the whole class knew that he had a crush on me, but he never confessed, and I pretended not to know it tacitly. You still remember me? He looked very happy. I gathered my short hair. You haven't changed much, but you can still recognize me. Of course. He looked at me. His eyes were so bright. You're the same as when we were at school. You haven't changed at all. How could that be? I couldn't help but smile bitterly. Sometimes I even feel strange when I look at myself. The road to helping Shinzhou rise to power was very difficult. Over the years, I had to force myself to gradually integrate into their world until I was unrecognizable. Young Lin didn't seem to have changed. He still smiled sincerely and warmly. A man in his 30s still had a rare youthful feeling. He looked at me seriously. How could I not recognize you? To recognize someone, you have to look at their eyes, not their clothes and appearance. Tang Jing, you haven't changed. You've just changed your hairstyle, and it suits you very well. Just these 2 sentences, but I froze in place. I haven't changed. I've just changed my hairstyle. Thank you. When we parted, he said we should meet again later. I said okay. Actually, I lied to him. It's better not to meet. The next time we meet, I'll probably be a female ghost. It's not very auspicious. My luggage had already been packed. I threw away the cheap gifts that Shinzhou gave me, and sold The expensive ones at a low price on the second-hand platform without the affection. Those gifts were worthless to me. I didn't have many things. I didn't even fill a suitcase. The rest were all burned anyway. Old things have to be burned when people die. It doesn't matter whether they are burned sooner or later. When it was getting dark, I dragged my suitcase and left the house that I once regarded as home without looking back. That night, Shinjo was staying in the hotel where he would pick up the bride the next day. He even sent me a message in the middle of the night. See you tomorrow. After all these years, I'm finally going to marry you. I didn't reply to the message at this moment. I was already sitting in the airport waiting lounge with Qin Yuan. I also came across Song Jin's last video. The male protagonist, Shinjo, finally showed his face. He accompanied her to plant a tree with their own hands and then accompanied her to write a wish bottle. The paper in the bottle carried their wishes. The camera zoomed in. What he wrote, little girl, may you have a life without worries. And what Songjin wrote was, I hope Shinjo and I won't be separated. I've been following this for so long and it's really a bad ending. I'm crying my eyes out. Can they really not be together? That bride whose identity is unknown. If you have any conscience, just give up. Can't you let them be together? Damn it. I blocked them already, so why am I still seeing this? I'll scold them again. What a pair of scumbags. If you scold me, it will bounce back to you. I exited the video. I pulled out the phone card and threw it into the trash can. At the same time, the flight reminder came from the broadcast Qin Yuan and I walked side by side towards the boarding gate. We didn't look back. Yunnan is a very beautiful place. Qin Yuan and I helped each other climb Jade Dragon Snow Mountain. Actually, we climbed less than half of it. The two of us, being so sickly, had already reached our physical limit after climbing half of it. But we still saw very beautiful scenery. We went to eat a mushroom hot pot. It was very delicious, but I vomited everything up after taking 2 bites. It was a waste. Qin Yuan ate a lot. She said she would eat more on my behalf. We also rode an elephant. We went to see Irai Lake. Irai Lake was so beautiful that Qin Yuan and I even impulsively wanted to jump into the lake hand in hand and commit suicide. But before we could carry out our plan, we were stopped by a kind aunt beside us. What are you doing? The aunt spoke in a northeastern accent and hurriedly stopped us. You two little girls are so pretty. What kind of problem could be so serious? Listen to me, auntie, and live well. Living is the most important thing. Everything else is nonsense. Auntie has some candy here. It's very sweet. Be good, eat the candy and be happy. Don't be so silly again. How heartbroken your parents would be if they knew about this. The aunt was very kind, Qin Yuan, and I obediently ate the candy and promised repeatedly that we wouldn't be so foolish again. Only then did the aunt leave. Looking back every few steps, the candy was very sweet. It was so sweet that we suddenly lost the courage to commit suicide. We decided to listen to the aunt. Let's live well. Every extra day we live is a bonus. We won't lose out. I heard Shinjo almost went crazy at the wedding that day. There were piles of messages on WeChat, but I didn't read any of them except for Lin Jing's. She sent me a video of the wedding. Shinjo on the stage was wearing a neat suit, and his expression was rarely gentle. However, when the door of the banquet hall opened, the bride was nowhere to be seen. His smile froze awkwardly. Lin Jing's camera focused on his face, capturing all his shock, panic, and fear. Where's Tangjing? He roared on the stage. Where is she? Find her for me. He almost mobilized all his subordinates to look for me, but they found nothing. Someone summoned up the courage to ask him, second brother, did sister-in-law see the video of you and that girl? His body froze. What video? Weren't all the videos mosaicked? Someone took out Songjin's last video and handed it to him. We also saw it yesterday. The previous videos were all mosaicked, but yesterday's wasn't. Shinjo snatched the phone, and his face turned pale instantly. Damn it, the phone was smashed to pieces. After the video ended, Lin Jing immediately sent a message. You're really something. You pulled off a big move without making a sound. Where are you? Tell me the truth. You're not terminally ill, are you? I didn't reply to her. This person really guessed it right. Lin Jing is actually a very smart woman. She probably guessed something. Regardless of whether I would reply to her or not, she sent me a lot more videos. After the guests left, Shinjo smashed the banquet hall with red eyes. The screen was smashed. The tables were overturned. The man went crazy until he was exhausted. Finally, he squatted on the edge of the stage with his head hung low. It seemed like he was crying. In the video, Lin Jing's voice was completely unfiltered. I used to think you had a good eye for men. Now when I look at it again, Tangjing, he's really the most embarrassing ex-boyfriend you'll ever have in your life. Qin Yuan and I rented a house by Irai Lake. We also hired a live-in aunt. She was responsible for cleaning and cooking 3 meals a day. The aunt was a local. She was a bit chubby but very kind and extremely efficient at doing things. She always chattered that the two of us were too thin and it made her feel sorry for us. Then she would spend every day racking her brains to study recipes and cook for us. She made dongpa pork today. She learned to make snow flossy bean paste balls tomorrow. Actually, I couldn't eat anything anymore, but I didn't have the heart to disappoint the aunt, so I would always force myself to take 2 bites each time. Then I would go to the bathroom and vomit for a long time. The woman in the mirror was getting thinner and thinner. Her cheeks were slightly sunken, which made her eyes look very big. Qin Yuan, I called her over. Do you think I have a beautiful bony figure now? She stood beside me. She was also very thin. She laughed. I'm about the same. We're like a pair of white-bone spirits. I came across Shinzhou's short video. He always hated showing his face, but this time he looked at the camera carefully. Xing, if you can see this video, please don't swipe away. Okay. The man's face was haggard, with a stubble beard and his eyes full of bloodshot. He no longer had the high spirits of the past. Where are you? Can you let me come and find you? I have only 2 things that I regret the most in my life. One is finding a girl who looks a lot like you and indulging my desires. I never loved her. Every minute I spent with her, I regarded her as you when you were 18 years old. The other thing, I shouldn't have dragged you into this mess back then. His eyes were red, and he tried his best to control himself, but his voice still trembled. Over the years, I've always hated myself for not being able to protect you well. I really didn't want to listen anymore. So I swiped away the video. Qin Yuan felt nauseous after listening beside me and confirmed with me repeatedly, you won't soften your heart and forgive him, will you? Of course not. I swiped through the videos casually. Unless he follows me to die, I lied to her. Even if Shin Zhou were to die with me, I wouldn't forgive him. He's too dirty. Shinzhou's video went viral. He and Songjin were quickly scolded on the trending searches. They became synonymous with scumbags and bitches for a while. I thought he was being forced into marriage by a rich and powerful bride. So he played this breakup countdown. Turns out it's just a pair of scumbags getting together. What about the 10 years the bride has sacrificed? What about the tears I shed those days being a mistress to this extent? You can sum it up in 2 words. Being insensible to the situation. The girl is my junior high school classmate. When we were at school, she pretended to be innocent with that pure face, but secretly stole other people's boyfriends and bullied female classmates. She's extremely disgusting. Ha ha ha. The scumbags I hate finally had their downfall. So satisfying. No one will scold me this time. Right. Soon Songjin's background was completely exposed. The things she did when she was at school were also widely spread in the comment section, and many of her classmates from back then came forward to tear her apart. The photos of Songjin and Shinzhou were made into various memes. Each meme was very offensive. It even gave rise to a new meme. Don't be like Songjin. Compared to Shinzhou's influence, she was just a little girl without a background. Her address was easily exposed, and enthusiastic netizens nearby started blocking her door every day. She lived on the 1st floor. Her windows would be smashed every night. As soon as she went out, people would scold her as a mistress and a whore. Someone threw rotten eggs into her house and splashed paint on her door. The whole family became a laughingstock. I heard that Songjin suffered from depression. She locked herself in the room every day, looked at the negative comments online over and over again, often broke down and cried, and then screamed and threw things. Shinzhou dumped her because of that video where he showed his face. I heard that he even hit her, and he didn't hold back. The little girl was carried home. It was rumored online. Songjin's mental state completely deteriorated later. She would laugh and cry in the room every day, hugging a huge teddy bear and calling it a zhou. 2 months later, she was sent to a mental hospital by her parents. Someone took a candid video at the gate of the mental hospital. In the video, Songjin no longer had the pure appearance she used to have. Her hair was messy, and she was crazy. She was so thin that she almost looked emaciated, and she looked terrified at everyone. Netizens were very satisfied with this ending. So satisfying. She deserved it. Waiting for the scumbag's ending. Why should the man get away easily? I heard that the scumbag is involved in the underworld. Then I wish he gets hacked to death with random knives. I'm probably really unlucky. The doctor said I could still live for half a year, but only 2 months later, my body suddenly collapsed. The day after Qin Yuan and I rode the elephant, I couldn't get out of bed. We clearly agreed not to receive treatment, but Qin Yuan still sent me to the hospital with red eyes. She was still panicked. I spent some time in the emergency room. As soon as I came out, I saw Qin Yuan with red eyes. She cursed. You almost scared me to death. She trembled as she reached for a cigarette, but then she realized we were in the hospital and stopped. In the ward, we stared at each other for a while, and then both of us laughed. How complicated people are. The 2 of us, who thought we were free and easy and ready to face death with a smile. actually shrank back when death really came. No one can truly be free and easy, yet we can't resist fate either. Qin Yuan touched the Chinese trumpet creeper flower on my collarbone. She was smiling, but tears kept streaming down her face. This is my last work. You're going to take it away so soon, you jerk. Well, she smiled. The one who leaves first doesn't have to worry. Don't worry, I'll bring your ashes back and bury them behind your grandmother's grave. Qin Yuan tucked the stray hair behind my ear. Let you guys be reunited, okay, and, wait for me down there, let's be reborn together, Qin Yuan's perspective. Tang Jing is dead. She died in Kunming, where it's like spring all year round. She always said that I'm a very free and easy person. I didn't cry when she died, however. When I watched her being pushed into the cremation furnace, at the moment when I saw the flames engulf her, I suddenly broke down. That's Tang Jing, a person who was fine, who was still smiling and coaxing me to take my medicine the day before, was pushed into the fire just one day later. When she came out again, she had turned into a handful of ashes put in such a small box. The housekeeping aunt cried bitterly. She kept muttering, if I had known she was sick, I would have made her some light food. Should I have stewed more soup for her? She was wearing too few clothes one morning a few days ago. I raised my voice a bit when I urged her to put on a coat. Do you think that child thought I was scolding her? The aunt choked up. She's only 28, 1 year younger than my daughter. I held Tang Jing's urn. With red eyes, she always thought that she didn't grow up as pure as her grandmother had hoped. She didn't understand what a wonderful person she was. She made the housekeeping aunt, who had only known her for 2 months, cry until she choked up. On the plane on the way back, I looked at the misty clouds outside the window and whispered, Tang Jing, we're going home. I buried her in the cemetery behind her grandmother's grave, with her grandmother watching over her. The photo on the tombstone was taken by us in advance. The girl had short hair, clear eyebrows, and eyes, and was smiling brightly at the camera. I placed flowers in front of her tombstone. I whispered to her, you must be the most beautiful female ghost in this cemetery. I swept the dust off her grandmother's grave and poured some wine. Grandma, I brought Xing to you. Don't blame her for coming down to accompany you so early. She had a really hard time. In the last days, she was in so much pain. She doesn't have to endure the pain and take a lot of painkillers anymore. When I left, it started to drizzle. I walked out of the cemetery holding an umbrella, but I met someone head-on, a man whom I had never seen in person but had heard his name countless times. Xinzhou. I was stunned for a moment and pretended not to know him and walked away, but he stopped me. He stared at me intently, his voice hoarse. I've seen your photo. Your name is Qin Yuan. I checked the flight information. You and Xing went to Yunnan together. I searched for many days there but couldn't find Tang Jing. He seemed to realize something, and his body suddenly started to tremble. He raised his eyes and looked at the cemetery behind me. What are you doing here? I looked into his eyes and said word by word, I'm here to see Tang Jing off for the last time. What? He staggered back a step, and his eyes instantly turned red. Tang Jing is dead. She died in my arms. Xinzhou stood there frozen. The man who was rumored to have a violent temper actually shed tears at this moment. Where is she? Tang Jing doesn't want to see you. If you want to cry at the grave, do it farther away. Don't disturb her reunion with her grandmother. I didn't hide Tang Jing's death, because he would definitely find out. Tang Jing's tombstone is right behind her grandmother's. As long as he goes to visit her grandmother, he will definitely see it. But I had to tell him. I asked Tang Jing if she would forgive you. Xinzhou's eyelashes trembled, and he waited for my answer with a deathly pale face. He knew Tang Jing so well, he could have already guessed her answer. I said, Tang Jing said that unless you die. Before she died, she removed your name from her wrist bone and the gardenia flower on her chest. She hated gardenia flowers the most. She tattooed the Chinese trumpet creeper flower she liked on the other side. She threw away all the gifts you gave her, donated your money, and burned all her belongings. Do you know why? I said slowly, looking at the dead silence in Xinzhou's eyes, and I felt a great pleasure, because she didn't want to have any relationship with you anymore. You're so dirty that you make her sick. Actually, Tang Jing had already seen Songjin's video. She knew every day that you were counting down to break up with your mistress. Do you think that the countdown dates on the calendar were her looking forward to and counting the days for your wedding? I suddenly laughed. Xinzhou lowered his eyes, and his eyelids suddenly twitched violently. I continued, she never intended to marry you at all. The countdown on the calendar was her calculating the days to leave you. For a man who is rotten to the core, why do you think she still wanted to marry you? The man lowered his eyes, and his shoulders completely slumped. He choked up and said, I've always blamed myself for turning Tang Jing into what she is now. I know she did it for me. In that environment, there was no room for someone too innocent, And my brothers wouldn't follow a simple and inexperienced sister-in-law. She was never a burden. It was me who dragged her down. With Songjin, I always regarded her as Tangjing. I indulged her just to make up for the Tangjing of that year to some extent. I couldn't stand it anymore and sneered, "Come on, who are you trying to disgust? Tangjing wasn't dead when you cheated. If you felt guilty, why didn't you make it up to Tangjing? Instead, you found a substitute to make up for it. It's really ridiculous. Tangjing suffered all the hardships, and the one you made up for became a substitute, right?" Shinjo was silent, choking up. "I've only loved Tangjing my whole life, from beginning to end, actually." His voice trembled. I indulged Songjin those days just to say goodbye to the past, to the Tangjing of the past. After getting married, I would be devoted to her and make it up to her. I even had a sterilization operation. Tangjing took a knife for me 2 years ago and got injured. The injury affected her uterus. The doctor said it would be very difficult for her to have children. He smiled self-deprecatingly. I had the operation and wanted to tell her after the wedding that I could live my whole life without children as long as I had her. I cursed and said it was disgusting. Then I thought about it and laughed. "You finally did something human. You lost Tangjing and you're also childless. That's good." I stood in the rain and watched his retribution with a smile. "I heard that you basically lost all your venues. TSK, your wife left you, your children are gone, and you're abandoned by everyone. How pathetic. By the way, Tangjing asked me to tell you that all the venues that were taken away by Lin Jing were secretly helped by her when she was alive. She knew all your weaknesses." Tangjing was just soft-hearted. She couldn't bear to see the brothers who had been with her for many years in trouble, so she made an agreement with Lin Jing to leave a way out for each of them. They would only develop better following Lin Jing. I laughed. "Look, Tangjing thought of a way out for everyone, even the stray cat she often fed. She gave money to the nearby store to take care of it before she left. You're the only one she didn't care about. Now you know how much she hated you, right?" The rain got heavier. It completely soaked him and I left with an umbrella. I didn't take a taxi. I walked along the road outside the cemetery. My mind was in chaos, and I remembered a lot of the past. Some were about the time with Tangjing, and some were even more distant. Tangjing always said that I was free and easy. In fact, I also relied on someone very much once, but I was let down later. I gradually let it go. Tangjing was happier than me. She still had her grandmother who loved her, but I had no family. I was an orphan since I was a child and grew up relying on the kindness of others. Suddenly, my thoughts were interrupted by a car speeding by. A black Land Rover passed through the rain curtain. It crashed heavily into the roadside fence. There was a loud bang. I remembered that license plate with the tail number 999. I heard Tangjing mention it. It was Shinjo's car. I held an umbrella and watched the towering flames over there coldly. Unfortunately, a passing vehicle called an ambulance. A kind-hearted passerby driver dragged Shinjo out of the car. I didn't look anymore and stopped a passing taxi and left, because I knew, no matter how serious his injuries were, Shinjo couldn't live a normal life anymore. As expected, Shinjo didn't die, but he was worse than dead. The person he loved the most refused to see him even on her deathbed. His brothers hated him for being heartless and killing Tangjing, so they left him and followed Lin Jing. He lost his venues, and all his money was donated. That car accident didn't take his life, but it took his legs. Shinjo became a real invalid, and he didn't even have the courage to commit suicide. I guessed it was because he didn't have the face to see Tangjing in the afterlife. Once when I was sweeping Tangjing's grave, I saw him in the cemetery. He was wearing a long cotton coat to cover his legs. He was sitting stiffly and woodenly in a wheelchair, staring blankly at Tangjing's grave from a distance in the wind and snow. He was like a stiff statue. He looked at it for a long, long time. He didn't dare to take a step forward even when I left. However, this should be the last time I come to sweep Tangjing's grave since she was buried. My health has been getting worse day by day, but without Tangjing, there's no one to coax me to take my medicine anymore. Sometimes, I would be woken up by the pain at night. I would take a lot of painkillers, and it was the same thing over and over again. Finally, on a snowy day, my life came to an end. I was lying in the hospital bed, and my gaze fell outside the window. The bare branches were covered with a thin layer of snow, and it was a vast white expanse. The trees seemed to have a second life. My vision gradually blurred. I seemed to see Tangjing. She was standing in the snow and reaching out her hand to me. "Let's go, Qin Yuan. Don't be afraid." I closed my eyes and could really accept death calmly. "Shinjo doesn't love you anymore. I'm very close to Tangjing." The tombstone next to mine was newly erected last year. The girl in the photo on the tombstone had a round oval face. When she smiled, there was a small dimple on her left cheek. She was gentle and beautiful. The name on the tombstone was Sway Sway Sway. It's a very nice name. I like this new neighbor very much. Before my consciousness faded away, I thought that when I went to the afterlife, I would open a tattoo parlor. I would tattoo a Chinese trumpet creeper flower on Tangjing, who has become a female ghost, because the Chinese trumpet creeper flower is very much like her. The end.